When are we going
Hello,
live?
are we
We
live?
gonna do
I am.
we're gonna
We
do a
are.
countdown?
Yeah.
Why do you always do this? You never just say we're
Gotta keep
3,
you on
2,
your
1
toes,
live.
bruh.
Well, look, at least I didn't get into any of the spicy ones when we
Oh my
before.
god.
Hey, chat. Did you guys
Anyway.
know that we're talking about ethnic slurs before we went live?
No, we were wait. For context, we were
Uh,
talking about how stupid a lot of them are. If you like
yeah,
look
yeah,
up the
yeah.
Wikipedia list for them,
Yeah,
a lot of them are just like, come on, these are weak.
we totally weren't talking about which ones we should use. Yeah.
Well, the answer to that is
Anyways.
all of them.
Yeah.
Brandon Sanderson's spook takes the cake.
Okay, I don't think you could say that.
Well,
It's
so
only
okay,
the kid's
forever.
name.
You know, the funny thing is, Iron is the one who said no racism in the first 10 minutes.
Well, you already broke that rule, fucking monkey. Guys, that's what he is. That's his character. That's his character. Okay, he's an animal.
Yeah. Well, we call him that because he is a monkey, like an actual like the animal, not like a racial slur.
You know my monkey's fur is brown, right?
Once again,
Sorry.
once again, Iron, you were the one who said no racism in the first 10 minutes.
You didn't say that. It was your rule.
Yeah, because people need to get acquainted with us first before they just realize we're not completely unhinged and only slightly unhinged.
Also, let me write a community post while we intro it out.
Anyway, I am running on no sleep, so this will be me at my most coherent during the stream. Be warned.
Okay. We're chill.
All right, so
I'm cracked out of my mind. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Death Note. What a show. So this is my third time watching. This is Rangy's God knows how many time.
Yeah.
Stupid weeb. And this is
weeb.
Yeah. 7.
Wait. Are we counting both of the times I watched it for this?
Well, which one are you on your watch through? I'm on my third watch through.
Like I said, it was probably if I counted it all as one go because I only did the episodes we're reviewing, but I did them in both dub and sub. But if we count them as one go, it's my 7th. If we count it as 2 goes, it's my 8th.
Can I put the stream in high mark?
Yeah, go ahead.
Put it in the video section.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is Lucas's first watch through. So we'll be asking him periodically throughout the stream what his thoughts are and where he thinks it will go. And obviously, me and Rangi aren't going to speculate because we know where it goes. So
yeah. We know, and then we also have somebody for when we do the movie who hadn't seen either. I know he's watched the movie now. Maybe I'll show him Death Note the show afterwards.
Maybe. But yeah, that's gonna be a while from now because we are only covering the first 3 episodes, and there's 37 of these we have to get through before we get through the movie. So that could be
not that many.
Could be well into the summer before we get to that. But we shall see. Hopefully, we'll begin to make faster progress, which I think we will, because the first 3 are the most dense because it lays out most of the major mechanics. Obviously, there will be more that Lucas is not aware of yet, but the majority of the important ones are in the first 3. So yeah, we'll be going over those shortly.
Yeah, so I guess before we start getting into like the plot events further, well, Iron, you and I both really like it, but maybe just general thoughts on these episodes, what you generally think about them, and then we can go from there into like the actual events.
Yeah, I like the show in its entirety. I think some parts of it are stronger than others, and I do think the first arc is the strongest of the show, which is good for hooking viewers, right? Like, ideally you want all of it to be good, but that's not necessarily attainable. It's very few shows are that level quality throughout start, middle, end. So this show's strength is definitely its beginning. It has a very strong hook, and the entire first, let's call it an arc, it just grips you from start to finish. It begins to slow down progressively until I think a pretty climactic ending. Obviously, I can only use vague terms to describe it, but that's just kind of my overview of the whole show. But yeah, the first three episodes specifically, I think, do a great job of keeping new and returning viewers alikes attention. There's always new details you'll catch in these first few episodes. Like this is my third time watching through, and there's stuff I didn't notice the first two watch through. So we can go over some of that later. There's a lot of foreshadowing, which I can only kind of hint at because I don't want to spoil it for Lulu. But it's just there's a lot of foreshadowing you don't catch the first watch through, and sometimes in the second watch through.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of setup and payoff of this series.
Right.
My general thoughts, it's like, so what do I say about Death Note that hasn't been said by like other people? That's the especially like other like AnyTuber types.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Lord of the Rings example. It's like what can you say that hasn't been like analyzed and overanalyzed? I mean, we'll give it our shot, but yeah,
I don't
Death Note.
think we're gonna have any groundbreaking takes here, but just kind of
No.
how you process the information will be unique in and of itself. So
I think so,
there's always
yeah.
that.
Yeah, generally speaking, I think Death Note is a really, really well done series, particularly the first half. I have a bit more negative views towards the second half
Final
of the series.
I've
But
heard that the
it's more
ending
the
is
final third.
controversial.
Well, no,
Yeah.
up till the final episode, most people agree the final episode's pretty good.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't even. The problem is I can't say why I have the feelings I do because there's like spoilers.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll get to it when we get to it, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Death Note is a top 10 anime of mine. I wouldn't say top 5, but definitely top 10.
It's what 10 out of what 15?
I've seen like 25 anime.
Oh, okay, so I was 10 off.
Guys,
But yeah, no.
when
So
we reviewing One Piece.
Never.
yeah,
Never.
what we really should do to make it unique is we should review One Piece in reverse order.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God. But I'd be down to do the Netflix adaptation at some point because I'm probably never gonna watch actual anime One Piece.
Okay.
I don't have the investment.
Well, we're doing the one that I'll have apparently is a hot take in the anime community for.
What?
I guess so, but I think
Yeah,
that's
that
gonna be a fun one to
I
do.
like the live action One Piece.
I've heard good things about
okay.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I'm interested in the story of One Piece, but I don't have the time to devote to it. Like, I watched Naruto back when I had like nothing fucking going on in my life for the most part. Like, I was back in school, not working, so. Like,
I mean,
that, and One Piece is even
Bruh.
longer than Naruto. So.
My friend
yeah,
Devin.
yeah.
My friend Devin said, "Spoiler alert: Light Yagami got big teeth." Hey, mods, can we ban this guy?
Got my permission.
No, I'm just kidding. He
I've
is a
already.
mod.
What do you mean?
That's the worst
I've
part.
already
He is a
banned
mod.
it. I was gonna
Who
say
gave
I've
this guy
already
mod?
banned it. Ignore it doesn't work.
Alright,
Actually,
anyway,
can I ban other mods?
Maybe.
I got it.
Okay. Well, we're going to experiment.
But
No, I can't.
What'd you think about the first 3 episodes, Lucas?
Really good. Like sometimes I have trouble like sticking with the show if the beginning is like really fucking boring. But literally right off the bat, it just throws you in, and you're like, "What the fuck?" So it's really good hook. I would say.
Oh yeah, I think
Really
I
good.
think that's the show's strength. It's like it has a better hook than I think any other anime I've seen. So.
Yeah.
Really good animation and music too. That's
What do you guys think of the intro? I love the intro.
The intro,
Um,
yes, the like really dramatic
good,
kind of
yeah.
orchestral.
Yeah.
It's a little
beat
too
music
upbeat
too.
for how
Yeah.
like
I
dark
think
the
it's. I don't
show
think
is.
it's.
Yeah,
Really, I
it's
don't.
all about the intro. The
I don't
yeah,
think it's like.
it's
I
so
don't think it's
it's
upbeat. I
weird.
think it's supposed to be like intense. It's like Japanese like rock music. It's like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
yeah, but the orchestral music that they use for the side stuff, like just for emphasis or whatever, is I
Right.
think my favorite part of the soundtrack.
I never realized how many meme sound effects came from this show, like the dun dun dun, dun and then the like the do 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 do, like the piano. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very the show is very dramatic and its presentation also like there's a heavy emphasis on the internal narration and thought processes of the characters.
Which is
Yeah.
pretty common in a lot of anime, but I think this would be the one you would point to. Like, even though it is a trope, I think this is the one that has like most defined the trope that like even normies know the trope through this show. Like you'll see a lot of skits on it on like YouTube and Instagram and TikTok
Yeah. Have you
or
guys
what have
seen
you.
What
the
am I?
Smosh skit? Like if the Death Note was in real
I don't
life or
know. No,
whatever?
watch.
It's
I don't
so
watch.
funny. It's
Smosh.
so funny.
When was it? Because I watched a lot of old Smosh. The new Smosh doesn't
Devin,
do it for
oh my
me.
god.
I never liked Smosh.
That
They were good when they first started. Like that was classic YouTube right there. Like it was just Anthony and Ian. That was good stuff.
Bruh, Devin
Once it got
donated
bought out.
donated $2. Said solo leveling is better. Do it next.
I
I don't even
actually
know what that
haven't seen
is.
Solo Level. It's another anime. I haven't seen Solo Leveling, but I'd be willing to.
I think he's gonna make us watch Sword Art Online, and then we're all gonna kill ourselves.
Yeah.
Including me. The fact that
Is it
watching
bad?
Sword Art Online again, oh, it's horrible. But
It's
What?
pretty bad.
no,
There's like
I will
moments
say
that are tolerable and borderline like solid, but most of it's horrendous.
I'm saving Sword Art Online for my own channel though.
I know that's why I made the joke.
Fortunately for you.
Bro, thank you
Um,
for the $2 granola, but why you guys giving me money?
because they like you, because you're a swell
Yeah,
guy.
they like
Because
our
they're gay.
racism. They like our racism.
Yeah,
No,
that
no,
too.
because they're gay. They're trying to seduce you.
What message were you trying to put?
Get your mind out of the gutter. But
She said lol, I forgot to put a message.
Oh, is granola a she? I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh. Call me
call me
Devin. Stop,
is
Devin.
that like a name of like?
I was just
Isn't
gonna
that a
call
name of
No,
Devin
like
keep
gay.
going.
Oh,
Give
okay.
give Lulu more money.
Bro, first
Yeah,
Dexter's paying my
Lulu,
bills.
you're a
Now
very poor
racism.
businessman.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
yeah.
not my
okay,
fault. They're making dumb decisions with their money, okay?
Not financial advice, bro.
Look, not financial advice, but Lulu Coin is going to the moon.
Yes,
Lulu going to the
sir.
moon. Let's go over our favorite characters. Mine is Ryuk.
Mine is
L.
Ryuk. Yeah.
L, definitely.
Humans are
Ryuk is
so
a close
interesting.
second.
Yeah, for me it probably goes Ryuk, L, Light in that order.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I think all three of them are like the. Well, they're amazingly great characters in
Yeah, I
their own
mean,
right.
like they're the three main characters, and the fact that they're all nailed, is pretty nice. Because a lot of times there will be a weaker link, and I don't think there is a weak link here. I think all three are phenomenal characters.
For sure.
I have curiosity, Iron, without giving any context to Lulu. What's your opinion on Misa?
Who's
We'll
that?
get there when we get there. That it doesn't matter. We'll get there when we get
Wait,
there.
is
It's not
that
something we talk about on the sheet.
is
Damn,
that
I
like
needed to. I was trying to.
is that the love interest who becomes like a crazy bitch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The movie.
No, she's already a crazy bitch.
The
Don't
movie
worry.
had that like that character, and I figured that was from the anime. So
Yeah. So the movie just absolutely completely botches her character.
yeah,
Which I
agree.
haven't seen the movie, so I have no comment.
All right, no
We'll,
spoilers.
we'll get
but-
there when we get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get there.
All right. So, I guess I could take point for now, and then feel free to either you jump in when you want to jump in.
Alright.
So I'll start with Ryuk in the Shinigami realm. there's two Shinigami playing some kind of gambling game, and they ask Ryuk
It
to play
look,
with them, but he passes. Yep.
yeah, it looked like a dice game, like one of those like odds or evens type game.
Yeah,
Which,
like
by the
maybe
way,
Oh my
Liar's
god,
Dice
gambling
or
is a
something.
big
they're playing
thing.
liar's dice, guys. They're playing liar's dice.
Oh, I was right. It was Liar's
Basically,
Dice.
I actually don't know. I just wish they were.
Oh,
That'd be
I
funny.
took that as a guess.
I don't
Um,
know the exact game, but I know gambling. There is a big history of it in
based.
Japan, and dice
Oh yeah,
are
I mean,
big
if you ever
part.
been to a casino, you'll see a variety of Asian people. Like they love casinos. Like just like older Asian folks, whether they're Chinese, Japanese, you name it,
Oh,
they'll sit there
Oh,
for hours.
why did Kate get their message redacted, or did
yeah.
they
I
do
was
that?
gonna. Who did that?
It's probably the YouTube auto filter. It
No, no,
probably
no.
said
I feel like
something.
you. I feel like a
No,
mod
no,
has to do
I
that.
saw that. I was actively reading their message.
Yeah, me
They didn't
too.
say anything like offensive.
Hey, repeat
Well,
your message, Kate. Oh, okay.
Okay. Maybe they redacted
Okay.
it.
You don't like.
yeah,
You
they
didn't
could.
like
I guess.
anything after
Yeah.
that, or
Oh, yeah. I can
I got weird.
understand that.
Okay.
I mean,
I said
the
before
first 12
my
episodes are the best, so that's an understandable opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're playing a dice game. We'll call it Liar's Dice, and they asked Ryuk to play. Ryuk is just staring intensely into the human realm, and the first
and
line of dialogue that appears over light because I mean you guys can infer what you want about that scene, but I think it gets pretty much established what happens there pretty soon. So we can either do it now or later. It doesn't matter to me.
What do you mean?
Like what that scene was supposed to convey about Ryuk's character.
I think it's pretty
Wait.
clear
It
what
was showing
it
him.
Yeah,
conveys.
it is.
Wait.
What?
I don't understand. Like what? So I knew. Like I saw him. He was like dropping the death note like in the on Earth, but like
Yeah, so basically what
what
that
was?
whole scene conveys, he was bored and he was just kind of mulling things over. He
Well,
comes up with
it's
that little plan to spice things up, and that's why he was just kind of staring so intensely because he's like, "All right, this is what I want to do. I'm gonna do it." And then
So my
Okay.
view of his choice to drop the Death Note has always been, it's not necessarily just that the Shinigami that he's bored. It's the Shinigami realm. It's all stagnation. It's all just people. The Shinigami that have been doing the same thing for who knows how long, the same routine, and they don't have any like personal stakes in these like mortal lives. They just
yeah,
Right.
kind of
which
write people's names down. And Ryuk dropped it. I don't think it's as much just to cause some excitement as he just wants an excuse to go to the or to stay in the human realm, because that seems
Does
more interesting.
does he have
well,
an
I mean, I think that's a
ulterior?
distinction about a difference, right, Rangi? Well, I can't. I guess
Yeah.
there's more
I
stuff
think
that
there's a
conveys.
difference, but
Well,
I
okay,
think
but
the
I mean,
distinction is important.
but I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think like saying that he was bored and wanted to spice things up by going to the human realm, and then saying he things were stagnated, so he wanted change. I mean, like, yeah, there is a distinction, but I think it's one without a difference. I think it basically conveys the
Okay.
same.
So
I mean,
my
we're
view
just
is,
arguing
I think
semantics now, in my
you could
opinion.
probably infer maybe a desire also to, basically it's a case of he can't actually do anything to change the Shinigami world, and so he wants to go. There's probably also a desire of like a pointlessness to his existence with this, and this is kind of supported in the future by other
Yeah,
stuff. But
I'm
Right.
not saying you're wrong, but I'm just saying
yeah,
that's just kind of
well,
reframing what I said.
I think just the difference is just I'm talking in more detail about, you know.
Sure. Yeah, but yeah, I will say your answer was more detailed, but I think my only point was
Yeah,
I don't think there is a difference in our answers. Just
the
the way
end
you
point
conveyed
is
it.
the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
like I said, I just want to make sure we're on the same page about that. But yeah, that
Yeah.
is pretty much what happened.
It,
And
but
then
I also love the narration between Light and Ryuk here with this opening scene.
well, yeah, the first line of dialogue, and here's the quote: "Is listen for the voice of God, then follow it, and know that in time you will find your salvation." Right, that's the first line spoken on Earth, and it kind of sets the tone for what this show is gonna be. Right, like
Right.
There's going to be a lot of like higher callings, and then finding salvation, right? That's like an interesting choice of words
Uh,
that
uh,
you'll see where
uh,
that leads. But yeah.
the inclusion of the light about God, specifically,
Oh yeah,
given
as I said, higher calling
what
through like
light
deity.
is.
Yeah.
Well, I
But
mean,
every
God,
that's a
just
very
like God complex and everything about
oh
that
yeah.
too.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like they chose their wording very specifically for that first line because you want your first line, or rather your first line with your main character, right, to have kind of thematic importance, which this line absolutely does. There's a lot of different
Yeah.
things you can read into it, um, through the salvation, the God, listening to because like listening to the voice of God could be listening to like actual like theological God, or like listening to your own thoughts because light sees himself as a God, right? There's like different ways you can interpret that.
Yeah. I like the religious like imagery and like symbolism too.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's very strong. And I also, this is the other thing I like with the narration between Light and Ryuk. That happens the next scene because I think they really are there's an extent to which they are kindred spirits. They both are sick of the worlds they exist in.
Right.
They
Yeah,
for
there's a
different
lot of
reasons.
parallels between the two. Um, One thing that I always thought was interesting, but even though the main mythology in this show is Japanese mythology, right, with the Shinigami and all that, the main religious focus is not.
Is that a real thing like
It's not
Japanese people
Shinto.
Yeah.
like believe in? Is it like
So
a
Shinigami
I don't know.
is a thing.
I
Japanese
don't know if the
Greek
word
mythology
itself.
basically?
Yeah,
I don't know if the word itself
Shinigami is,
is. But
but Shinigami
yeah,
is a like Japanese mythological thing, but this
Okay.
doesn't
are
really
they
follow a lot of
called? I know
Shinto
like angels of
stuff.
death are a thing in Japan, but are they actually called Shinigamis? Like that the official
Yeah,
name for them?
Shinigami. I believe Shinigami is actually like a Japanese spiritualist word. I could be wrong, but they have like that. It's a case of, well, for one thing, I haven't like looked into Japanese spiritualism too much. I've got exposure to it mostly from like anime and stuff, but I've seen Shinigami mentioned in like multiple anime things. So it's not just
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because I figured it was the real word for it. Because I knew the concept was like actual Japanese mythology. I just wasn't
Yeah.
sure if you like because sometimes authors will do that. They'll like want to use a mythology, but they'll change the words so they don't like offend people since they're gonna be doing what they please with it. But I figured it's probably more of a dead religion, right? Like I know
No,
that a lot of
Shintoism is definitely still alive.
well, I know it's still alive, but I mean like it's not as like because I'm trying to figure out how to like say this because like Eastern religions are very different than Western religions, right? Like the level of fervence for religion in the general populace is not as strong as Western religions, right? Like a lot of
Mhm.
times they have softer belief systems, right? They'll actually believe in
I
multiple
I don't
religions.
know
Like,
enough. I don't know
well,
enough to
I mean, I
comment on
studied
that.
Eastern religion for a semester, so like I do know more than the average person. We
Yeah,
didn't really
that
talk much about Japan
I
itself.
just
And
Like we focus more on China and that
we
region,
should
so like
yeah.
I'm not as familiar with Japan.
Yeah,
But
well, I'm just gonna say I don't know and move on because I just don't.
yeah, well, yeah. I
Hey,
mean,
we
I'm
should
just
we you know what? I
yeah.
actually kind of regret this. We should have brought on she was in the chat earlier, Granola. She's actually Japanese.
That would have
I feel
been
like if we
cool
had her
though.
Yeah.
on, she could have answered like some more questions. I was thinking if she's
Well,
gonna say
she is
anything
in
in
the
the
chat,
chat, but
um,
Oh
but yeah.
well, you know.
But we got really sidetracked. I was saying that
sorry.
even though that there is it's not all good, the presence of the Japanese mythology as like those are the mechanic, like the Japanese mythology is like kind of essentially the magic system of this fictional world. That the all most of the themes and imagery is related to Christianity rather than the Japanese mythology, which I thought was an
True.
interesting creative choice. And
Yeah.
you'll get a lot more of those later. Rangi probably knows one scene in particular that's very paying homage to the Bible.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Oh, definitely.
like yeah. There's just a lot of like light comparing himself to Jesus basically.
Well,
So there's that too, but
also
there's
though,
yeah.
just the music, the music choice too. The very like orchestral like that's also very like it's very clearly meant to like inspire a certain feeling in the audience that I would tie to probably like Christian like mythology with the sound and stuff like that.
Right.
You know when they have like
Careful
the
calling it
full
a
like
Christian mythology, right?
orchestral
You're gonna
organ.
piss off a whole subsect of people.
Oh, there goes all our viewers. Damn.
Because the difference between a mythology and religion is level of belief. So like mythology
Yeah.
implies dead religion, so
Yeah.
careful there. But anyway, the first line
Well,
Light says, oh yeah.
I'm just talking about the aesthetic thing with like the orchestral kind of or is
Well,
it
yeah,
would
I
it be
know.
organ music?
You,
Yeah.
you said Christian mythology. That's just I was just making a little light jab there that you're gonna piss off the
Oh,
evangelicals.
okay. Okay, they
Anyway,
can cry.
the first line Light says is follow the teachings of God and receive his blessings, and so it shall be that the seas will again become bountiful and the raging storms will subside, which is also very thematically relevant, right? That they have Light say that as his first line, right? Like basically you
Yeah.
can infer like his teachings, right, will bring those who follow his teaching will receive blessings and like the world become bountiful under his guidance and the raging storms that like he has destroyed, right? Like he sees the criminal elements as the raging storms and that will subside when his work is done, right? So I think there's like a lot to glean into that first line. um I think that was also very specifically chosen.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. There's no way. Just hearing that and knowing the story, there's no way that was an accidental like line choice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, but like, not even that. Like, you will have those lines foreshadowing, but the fact that they made that the first thing he says, right? Like, they want you to know this about his character more than anything else first, right? Like, that's like first lines are always very important for conveying kind of like expectations, right? And like the expectations were set immediately
Yeah.
perfectly. So I always like that line. Um, and then the news. So I'm gonna jump ahead to the news segment. Do you have anything else to say about the classroom scene?
No.
You good, Rangy?
Uh, so I think that scene as a whole, as it stands, doesn't like go on that much. That's why I wanted to kind of move to the just the follow up scene with both Ryuk and Light talking and like
Well, we
that.
there's a couple of things that you can mention before that. Because there's you get your first news segment as he's walking, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
says
yeah.
and
The was it the? Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact story that it was. It was somebody getting murdered though. I
it
think it was like
basically
an old guy getting murdered.
the guy on the news, I'm pretty sure ends up being the first guy that he kills later. Or wait, let me read what I wrote down. The news talks of murder reports, and Light Yagami thinks to himself, day in and day out, the same news on permanent repeat. Like I think, okay, so yeah, so he's basically this is what why I write that down is that he establishes that he frequently listens to the news, right? Because that
Yeah.
will become relevant later, and
Yeah.
Well,
then
the this also kind of ties into Ryuk's own feeling about the stagnation of his own world. It's like it's the same thing over and over again. It's just
yes,
a
that is a good.
continuation. It's a stagnation.
That is also another probably something the scene wanted to establish was the parallel between Light and Ryuk's worlds, right? They both see the world as stagnant, ridiculous, and rotten, right?
Yeah.
Like, kind
Yeah,
of their
it's
views on the world.
the Shinigami world is just more like literally so.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Shinigami world is kind of just like how Light sees the world, but in like in full practice rather just in concept, right? Like Ryuk doesn't have to do much extrapolation there. It's just kind of how it is. Whereas Light's view in the world is probably a bit misguided, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, light when it comes to light, it's interesting too. I'll probably highlight this with how he gets the Death Note and how he ends up using it. Given his view on the world, it's always been very interesting to me as like character thing, and I've got thoughts, but we can continue on.
So then that was pretty much the end of the prologue, right? It ends with the juxtaposition scene of their two faces, like both kind of looking out, right? Like it's that shot, like, Ryuk
Yeah.
and Light. And I think if I
Uh,
remember correctly, they're both speaking a similar line as because they do that a lot in the show, right? They'll have two characters, usually Light and
well,
L, but this time it's Light and Ryuk speaking a line and then like looking like opposite
it's
directions.
it's like
Yeah.
cutting between their dialogue, and with the
Yeah.
implication is they are both having kind of the same thoughts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kindred spirits, like you said earlier.
Yep. Yeah. Which I do think there is a level of sort of, I don't know if I'd say I've called it this before, but this happens with some stories. Some people see it as contrivance, but I think it's fine if it's like set up early, and in this show it definitely is.
Wait,
There's a
how would it be
divine thread
contrived?
of fate. Yeah, there's a divine
Oh,
thread of
oh,
fate here.
oh yeah. Well,
You know?
that's really the whole premise of this show. So I can't
Yeah.
really call it contrived when like literally part of the world building of this world is the Shinigami all know how you're gonna die and when. I
Yeah.
Well, no,
mean,
no.
like, and
I mean specifically with the light and Ryuk being kindred spirits, with light being the one to get the Death Note, and with the fact that Ryuk didn't choose light, he's just the guy who
yeah,
picked up the note.
Yeah.
yes, there that part was chance, but my overall point was that in a world that literally has fate, right? That is a mechanic in this world that the Shinigami
Yep.
know when everyone's how and when they're gonna die, and they can alter it at their leisure, right? Like that is a part of the world building. So the fact that like thematically, an interesting twist of fate occurs is kind of like an interesting twist, right? That there's like kind of fate within fate, which is kind of fun. You know what I'm saying? Or did I lose you?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. No, fate is definitely a thing that exists because, like, yeah, the Shinigami can see when you're gonna die. Like, it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's hard to like refute the idea of fate. This story isn't one where fate is
Mm.
like a thing, and yeah, fate can absolutely be subverted. Oh, we have the mechanic by which it's subverted, which is the Death Note.
Yeah. Yeah, which I always think is fun because like if you're gonna do fate, there's like ways to do it right, there's ways to do it wrong. I think
Yep.
that like having fate that's set in stone but can be changed, right? Like it's like kind
I
of like the Constitution. It's like there's like strict things that should and shouldn't happen, but like it's a living, breathing kind of fate, whereas like it can be changed as things play out. So it's like
Yeah.
it both is it's unmovable but extremely flexible. It's like a paradox, but like it's what makes it fun.
I think it's also important, like, understand thing for your understanding that the people who can see people's fate are also the people who can change it, because that just makes sense. I think
Yeah.
fate is hard to like quantify outside of that, given that
Hmm.
situation.
Yeah, because the only people who can change fate are Shinigami and Death Note users. So
Yep.
everyone
Right.
else's fates are sealed. But yeah, so Light notices the Death Note fall of the sky, and I always just thought the way it fell was pretty amusing. I don't know, it just kind of seemed like pretty like I don't know how would you guys describe it?
Graceful.
Uh,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's kind of like kind of elegant, which is kind of always just kind of amused me a little bit, like how elegantly it falls like thousands of feet onto the into the ground.
well, so my assumption when it comes to the book is that's a question we have to ask. Did it actually fall thousands of feet just from the sky, or did it just appear midair like 30 or 40 feet in the air? That it's like it's a distinction that I don't think actually matters. The
Yeah, I
whole
think that's
point,
just overthinking it.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I mean. It's like I think it's safe to just say like Ryuk wanted somebody to pick up the note, so
He
he
didn't care
would have
who.
taken yeah, he would have taken also steps to make sure it gets to the ground without incident.
Yeah.
It would have been kind of funny if like it like impaled someone on its way down and it like became like national news and then like everyone's like, what is this mysterious book?
Oh no.
No, or it just like lands in the ocean randomly and no one ever finds it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he said he deliberately put it in a place where someone would find it. Like I'm pretty sure that's the
Yeah.
explicit line.
Yeah.
But Ryuk also says later that he wrote the instructions in English because it's one of the most common languages in the world.
Yeah, it is the most common actually.
Is it the most common or is Spanish more
It
Well,
common? I
is.
don't know.
No,
no,
yeah.
it's English because the reason it's English is because it's not the language with the most native speakers. However, virtually everyone who has a second language
That's
has
true.
English as their second language. So basically, you take every country in the world, and a good part of that population speaks English. So it's like the majority of the world speaks English because
Yeah.
everyone has it as a second language.
It's
Yeah.
like English and then Spanish and then I
Now
don't remember what
Mandarin's
the third
second.
language is. Oh,
It's English,
yeah.
then Mandarin, then Spanish.
Okay, I knew those were the three. I just didn't know the order.
Yeah. And then Mandarin's the funny case because virtually no one has that as a second language other than maybe a couple neighboring countries, but it's just how freaking big China is. So it's just kind of
Right.
like
Yep.
it's funny. The top two are the top two for completely different reasons.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
yeah, Light picks
Uh.
up and the title
Yeah.
amuses him. He thinks it's a funny little prank,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I
Well,
guess is probably the normal
he
reaction, right?
I don't know if I'd call it amused. He almost seems like somewhat disturbed. He's like, "Oh, who the fuck would do this? This is kind of fucked up." That's like almost, but it feels like at the same time he didn't like put it
I thought,
down.
didn't he
So,
chuckle? I thought he chuckled when he picked it up.
uh, I'm trying to remember if he chuckled, but
Well,
yeah,
I'm pretty
he
sure.
did. He
his actual he did chuckle, but which kind of supports
no, Rengi,
kind of what I'm saying.
he picked it up, laughed, and then threw it back down, walked away, and then turned around and was like, "Oh wait, maybe I should take this with me just in case." And then we
Yeah,
see
I'm
later
pretty
on
sure
that he
that's how
took
it
it
played
with
out.
him.
Yeah.
And even then he's like music like, and I think this it's interesting because once you know Light's character, it's like, did he just take it because it was like a curiosity? Did he
Yeah,
take
he's
it
a very
from like,
curious person.
Yeah.
Like the curiosity of and you know what they say, curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah.
yeah? Well, he's definitely like music on it, and he's even like, yeah, no, it's ridiculous. It's basically like a chain letter. I think he
But
specifically says it's like a chain letter.
What's
yeah, I
that?
mean, but you weren't wrong, Rangy, that he does comment that it's a twisted prank, but his initial reaction is amusement.
Yeah.
It's not until later that he kind of like uh remarks
Yep.
the twisted nature of the prank.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, though, in general, though, and because him laughing kind of it still supports my view of Light, which is I feel like Light is and I think a lot of Light's dialogue also supports this. He's somebody who was like, "Oh, that's a funny thought," and he was like, and he like still takes the note. He still tries it out. Like I
Yeah.
think but all the while he's noting on like, "Oh yeah, this is fucked up. You should do this." I think he's just somebody who's like, he's thing in the way he's expected to, if you know what I mean.
Hmm. Yeah, so also in the scene he reads the rules described upon it, and the first rule says that a human's name that is written in this book shall die. So my question to you two is, would you test it out? If you found this book.
Absolutely.
I think
What about you?
well, he literally says, he says there's something about the book that would make every human want to test it at least once. That's
Yeah,
what Light
Oh
it's
says.
yeah.
alluring. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of like
Oh,
it's just so otherworldly. We'll use that word. That you just
uh,
kind of like you're put in a trance. However, I think like I think the thing is like most people probably would try it just because they would never expect in a million years for it to work. But yeah, we'll we'll get to the reaction of that realization when we get
yeah,
there.
I mean, yeah, I was saying, it'd also be like a case of, well, also probably, if you try it, I feel like, especially if you try it with somebody who's just like unequivocally, like, you would say is unequivocally evil, like, you know,
Also, you
Elaine
would do it how
Maxwell or whatever.
You would do it how Light did it, and just like you would actually like pick out a specific person just in case it worked. Like, you wouldn't just pick
Yeah,
some random
yeah,
person
well,
from your book.
yeah, I think I would. It would either be that, or it would be like that, like, or that like impulsive thing of like, oh, fuck this guy. I don't think this is gonna actually work, but I think I'd probably like, I don't know, well, because Light already had seen like the notebook drop, and I think that does add an extra element to it because of there's something weird about this, you know?
Yeah.
What about you, Lulu?
What was the question?
Would you try it out?
Oh yeah, 1000%. That was the point I was
Yeah,
And would
I
making.
you
literally, yeah,
would
everybody
you would
would.
you would you and now I think most people would try it out just because they wouldn't expect it to work, and just like it's like kind of alluring in its weird way. But like, would you go through precautions and just in case it did work, or would you be so confident it wouldn't, you just put a random name down?
um. Well, okay. In this hypothetical, I wouldn't know if it actually worked, right?
Yeah, of course you wouldn't. You just found it.
So
You would
then,
assume it would. It's
But
like,
wait,
let's
he.
wait,
say
wait, wait.
tomorrow you
Are
found
we
it,
talking
right?
about? Are we talking about? He just stumbles on it, or are we talking about he
Oh,
sees
that's a
it drop
thing
out of
that
nowhere?
people didn't like about the movie. Is
Yeah.
that Light in the show, he was like, "Oh no, I should be like serious about this." So he kills like a criminal, and
Hmm.
but he makes a comment about like maybe I should kill like a bully at school, and then he's like, "No, no, no, that's stupid. I shouldn't do that." And in the movie, Light actually does do that. Like he tests it out on like a bully, and then later on does
So,
criminals. Um,
so it's kind of like it's
so
going to show that like show Light's a lot more methodical than movie
Yeah,
Light.
yeah.
yeah. Like I
The
think
the
that's
other
what
thing
they
I'm highlighting though is
people
because Light saw it drop out of the sky randomly. I think
Well,
I think it's reasonable to think there's
I
something funky
well,
going
no,
on.
well, there.
I
I think
think
you're over selling that point. He was vaguely aware that something like kind of moved in the sky. Like, I don't think he knew that like that book is what he kind of saw the side of his eye while research,
I
right? Like,
I
yeah,
think it's a reasonable assumption to make though.
right.
would you? I don't think I would think that something falling out of the sky would be a book just like laying on the ground.
Oh, okay, hold on. But you're taking it out of context because it's like you, while in class, noticed something fall out of the sky and landed
Hmm.
a specific spot, and then you go and check that spot, and the book is there, and it has
Yeah,
these like weird, suspicious like things. You probably would still assume, oh, it's just a harmless prank or
well,
whatever.
also,
They probably tossed it off
where
for a break.
in the fall did he notice it? Right, like it could have been just someone throwing it off the roof.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's literally what I was saying. That's why you'd probably still have doubt. You'd probably not assume it's supernatural. But I'd still kind of like, well, if it is real, I want to like take this
Hmm.
seriously and not kill
Yeah,
somebody that like
I
doesn't
guess
deserve it.
if I were to test it out, I'd probably just like look up the world's oldest person or something. But then I guess if you did that though, right, it's like,
Oh,
well, because it's just like you want like I don't know, like if they're 117, like it's kind of like they're already one
I
foot
was
in the
gonna say
grave.
that, but that's not like verifiable. That could just be coincidence. Like I said,
Yeah,
that's why I just look up somebody I would already like see as evil.
Right.
Death
yeah,
row inmate dies of a heart attack right after I wrote it. Otis
yeah.
Damon.
I guess that's another one. You could do someone
Oh,
who's gonna die that day anyway. Just like,
um
well, they're scheduled to get executed at 5. Let's just see how if it if it works before 5.
Yeah.
But
um
yeah.
I don't I don't know if the heart attack thing is in the movie. Cuz like if he doesn't
Is
say
it
how
not?
he I don't if he doesn't say how he wants them to die, then
Oh,
I
no. I
think
remember this is actually one of the main problems with the movie
cuz
too. Because yeah,
I compared it to Final Destination. I said when he writes someone in the name and doesn't give a reason, I think they just like randomly die like of anything. Um
no, it's a heart attack if the situation is impossible, or if he doesn't write a reason.
in the
So
movie?
like No. In
I
the
was talking about the
show, in the
movie. I was talking about
movie,
the
he
movie.
has to. Yeah, in the movie, I believe he has to write a way they die.
Okay. Um.
But
Oh, that's another thing that pissed people off that I didn't really think it was a big deal is that when you watch the show, you immediately see like, oh, Light's like a fucking like maniacal genius, and then the point they were trying to get across in the movie is that Light in that version is just a normal like naive like high schooler, and people are like, oh, why'd they make him so dumb? Like he's supposed to be smart, blah blah blah, and like that's kind of like the point. Like he's like just a teenager and he's just doing
Uh,
shit,
well,
and then
here's the thing, the counter
that's
argument to
one of the
that, Luke,
differences,
is that
though.
that's an integral part of his character, right? Like it's like,
Yeah,
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 I
it's
Light
guess
one
is
of
it
those
literally
is.
the
integral
number
Yeah,
one
part, but like,
student in Japan.
yeah, like
yeah,
He
if
is the
like
number one student in Japan.
like you lose out on the whole God complex stuff if you make
true.
him just an average person, because like the fact
Yeah,
that he is already better than everyone has gotten to his head. And now that he was already better than
yes,
everyone, now he's like, well, since I'm better than everyone, I've been like given this gift by the gods, right? Like that, like
yeah.
I alone shall like take up this worthy challenge because of
That's
how awesome I am, right? Like
that.
if he's just an average person, it
Yeah,
would kind of feel weird for like his descent to be as quick, right? Like
yeah.
it's like it happens quick in the show. Like that, well, upon my first watch, I didn't like how quickly he kind of got corrupted, but like after like a second and third watch, I'm like, well, it kind of makes sense because like
He already
because of the
was.
characters, yeah,
Yeah,
because
Yeah,
of the character establishment, he was basically kind of like a sociopath was looking
yeah.
for an out, and he got it.
yeah.
That's what I
That's
mean.
why I
Because
love. Oh,
when
sorry.
he gets the book and he writes the name, the first thing is he's still doubtful, but he's also like, oh, what? But I think that the fact that the Death Note, there's no like not gonna be any direct consequences. There's no way for anyone to ever link it back to him other than the book itself. Uh,
Yeah, because the only
cause
reason he's supposed to get found out in the first place is because he wants people to know that there's someone doing this. Because if
yeah,
he just
Yeah,
wrote a unique case for each person, they would never be able to figure it out,
true.
or at least it would take way, way longer. Um, but yeah, Light, he briefly thinks there's something wrong with him for like even considering trying it out, but like curiosity quickly gets the better of him.
yeah. But I think the fact that he's so quick, it
Oh,
does
but
imply, yeah.
the
Well, this is the thing with sociopaths; they kind of adjust themselves to what's expected of them, and so
right.
he's suddenly like he's able to kill in this way that doesn't matter really the expectations because nobody's gonna know.
Yeah. Um, I would say going
It's
off
only
of
a crime if
the
you get caught, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I would say going off the God complex thing. That's why I love when Ryuk puts him in his place and he says like, "We did not choose you. Like it was random chance. Like calm your ass down, little bro."
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I love that, right? You constantly just like humbles Light because
Uh,
really not
yeah.
many characters can
yeah,
do it.
Yeah, and then
it's interesting
later
too
on, he
because
does it again, where he's like, "I'm not on your side. I'm just a spectator. I don't care what happens to
uh,
you."
it,
Yeah,
it's interesting too, right? Because okay, so with the first episode, yeah, we get the book, him like having his doubts and being like, oh, I'm there's something messed up with me for even considering this. It's stupid. It's just some stupid prank like a chain letter. He eventually, because apparently he has a habit of like listening to the news while doing his work. He eventually just kind of, he submits to the curiosity and like writes the guy's name, and then the guy dies. And after that, he immediately has to go to the cram school, but now he's like got it in his mind, and then you have the thing that happens at the convenience store. I thought that was really
Yeah.
interesting because he's kind of almost it gives him no time to like process it either. He's just like immediately on to the next test.
Yeah. Which is all sorry, my brain is running on like low battery mode essentially. But yeah,
yeah,
I agree with everything you said there. But so just other things that happened in between the scene you jump to. He reads out more rules, right? That the death note will not take effect unless the writer has a person's face in mind when writing the name,
Yeah,
right? That's
yeah,
a pretty
which is
big.
actually really important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big
Yeah.
mechanic because there's a bunch of mechanics. Some are less important than others, but that's one of the the main ones.
Yeah, yeah,
And
because
it's yeah.
it's also it's also a nice tool that's used later in the show for a bit of subversion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the stated reason for this rule is that this is to prevent people who have the same name from being affected.
Oh.
Because like how many like Adam Smiths do you think are in the
I,
world?
I was
Probably
gonna
Yeah.
I was gonna say you write John Smith
yeah,
into the Death
Like
Note,
a
and it's
thousand
just
people die.
yeah, yeah. John, you write John name and millions shall perish.
I want I write yeah you have to write Iron Mandrill while imagining a monkey.
Dude.
Does it work on animals? I guess it wouldn't, right? Because animals don't have
Well,
souls.
they don't have names. I don't know if they would work
Well, no, I
on
mean, I'm pretty
animals,
sure in
but
like most mythologies and religions, like only humans have souls, so like no soul to
Oh.
claim from an animal.
so well the thing is if you're going with the Death Note, we don't have enough information to relay one way or the other because it's weird because it's a weird like mix of like kind of Japanese is religion and Christian religion, so I don't know.
The way you separate it, right, is anything that has to do with
Well,
themes
wait,
is
no, it doesn't matter. It says the human whose name is written in
yeah,
this will die.
you're right. So it does specifically state only humans can be killed to Death Note, which
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
which you can infer from that information. It means only humans have souls because that's like what you're kind of
Well,
severing
yeah.
here because heaven and hell and purgatory exist within this world. That's like a
Oh,
Yeah.
rule. Whoever uses the Death Note can't go to heaven nor hell, right? That's like another rule, which confirms that there is
okay.
a heaven and a hell. But yeah, what I was gonna say with the difference between the Christianity and the Japanese religion slash mythology is that like the themes have to do with Christianity, whereas the world building has to do with the Japanese mythology. So if it's
Yeah.
like a
Yes.
mechanical thing, it's Japanese. If it's a thematic thing, it's Christianity.
Yep.
That's kind of how you can canon that.
Well, that's the interesting thing too with Light and his like position because Light is the top of the social hierarchy for like a
Hmm.
Japanese high school student.
Hmm.
He is, he is the number one student. He's diligent. He's not like unsociable. He talks to people. He interacts with his peers. He's like like I said, there all of this like kind of is what feeds into his god complex. It's
Hmm.
actually kind of one of the reasons I hate his portrayal in the live action.
Hmm. So the next rule is that if the cause of
You
death.
continue on. I'm gonna be right back.
Okay.
Yeah, so the next rule is if the cause of death is written within 40 seconds of writing the person's name, it will happen. If the cause of death is not stated, the person will simply die of a heart attack, which
Right.
is I think that's a pretty cool rule that they added that like there is a default death setting, which I think is fun. Like
Yeah.
it's not random. It's like, all right, well, since you're not creative, heart attack it is.
Yeah.
You said Final Destination, right? Like I've never seen those movies. It's like it's
Um
kind of
it's similar. It's where like people that are destined to die but survive, death comes back and like kills them. And the way it kills
mm,
like the way death kills them is it's like it has to use like stuff around them to kill them. They can't just spontaneously combust. That's why I think in the movie they don't do the heart attack. They do like whatever is
hit by a bus
around
or whatever.
you. Yeah, whatever is around you kills you. Like so actually I think they recreate the hostage situation, but instead of him having a heart attack, I think like a cop just or like a sniper shoots him or something. Like, just makes like the perfect shot at the right time, like, and everything, and like their finger slipped and like pulled the trigger. Like I could be wrong, but I kind of remember something along those lines. And so I thought that was cool because I was like, oh, they're taking inspiration from Final Destination, and like maybe Netflix or maybe somebody like had a problem with like heart attack being the default death, because I don't know, maybe audiences thought that'd be lame or something, even though it's manga and anime accurate.
But didn't this come
I don't
out
know. I
before
don't know.
Final Destination?
This anime?
No, the manga.
No. Oh, the manga. I don't know, because the movie was like 2000. The anime was like 2007. The manga, I don't know.
Yeah, let's see. Death Note manga.
2003. So Final Destination had come out like a couple of years prior.
Oh, okay, so it might have taken some inspiration from Final Destination then.
Possibly, or it's just a coincidence. Either way.
Yeah, I mean I mean uh, whether it's they already had the idea and were annoyed someone beat them to it, or they got inspiration
Yeah.
from it, I guess we'll never know because it.
Yeah.
I mean that both cases happen all the time.
True.
But yeah, so the next rule is after writing the cause of death, details of the death should be written in the next 6 minutes and 40 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's not like um much of a time crunch necessarily, right? Like 6 minutes, 40 seconds is a lot of time, but I guess that's so they can't write like a manifesto of like things to happen. Like you have to get it something
Yeah.
in within a reasonable time. Like you can't write like an elaborate like political like takeover of all these nuances, right? Because that's just you're not gonna be able to write all that in 6 minutes and 40 seconds. But
Yeah.
6 minutes, 40 seconds, you can get a lot done with that. Like you could have the
True.
president order a nuclear strike on Russia in that amount of time.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, you could literally be like, or the president nukes Washington DC. Like Light has that level of power.
Basically, yeah. If he really wanted to.
Yeah. But yeah, so right before he writes a name, he realizes that on the extremely slim chance
I'm
someone
back.
actually dies from this,
Welcome
that
back.
would make him a murderer. So he does kind of at least he's at least aware
He
of the
acknowledges
And
it.
he's
gravity
actually
of the
hesitant.
situation.
Because that's
He is
what,
Yes,
actually hesitant.
you know, it's
because
funny.
the way I like to look at it is he's a borderline sociopath in his normal form, like just normal
Yeah.
high schooler life. But like the access to the Death Note
Well,
takes
yeah.
him from borderline to full
Yeah.
sociopath.
You take a borderline
Yeah.
sociopath, you give them unimaginable power, and they're just unimaginable power that they can't face consequences for at all, and it's just gonna
Yeah, because that's
deform
another
you for that
condition,
thing.
consequence free unimaginable power, because that's like just another level of like adding to their ego and sociopathic tendencies.
Yeah.
But also, when it comes to the note and the 6 minute rule, I think that's also very important because you got to remember the note can like affect the actions of people around the person too, and so I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
know.
why that
That's why
can be important.
that's what we were acknowledging, like that, like that's why like it's there so that like Light can't write like a nuanced political takeover of like the U.S. government, right? Like
Yeah.
because if you give someone enough time, you could literally
Mm.
just write out like an exact scenario that would install you as the president of the United States or
This
whatever
is
the
also
leader
another one of those
called.
rules that doesn't carry into the live action, from what I remember.
Oh,
So in
wait.
the live action, Light could just install himself as like Prime Minister
He
of
could.
Japan or whatever
I believe
his
like
title is
Could
called.
he?
I believe some of the final stuff is like elaborate stuff written out by Light. That's like
Oh,
absurd.
yeah. Yeah. I think it worked though in the movie setting.
Yeah, you're
I
wrong.
guess.
Well, fuck you.
I don't have a horse in this race yet,
Only if you
but
buy me dinner first.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm assuming I'm gonna agree with Frankie here, just based off what I've heard from the
It,
movie.
I don't know. Like they took the concept of the Death Note, tried to do their own thing, which I hate
But
and
you're
like
doing
at
an
the same
adaptation.
time.
Well, I guess we'll see
Yeah,
when we
well,
get there.
we'll talk about that eventually.
Here's my my thing, because I like sticking to the source material as much as the next guy, but like if
Yeah.
you're going to go a different route, either make it the same level of quality or better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're gonna change
It's a
things up, you
gamble.
have to at least match the
Yeah.
level of story you're telling. Otherwise, just tell the story again.
Well,
If you're gonna
It's
just tell
the
a
same as
worse
going.
version of the story, I was watch the original material.
It's the same as going all in on the casino. It's real. It's no problem as long as you win.
Exactly. Yeah.
There is. I don't know if we want to talk about it yet, but there's a scene in the movie. I
I
guess
haven't seen the movie.
I guess I'll bring it up. No, it's literally in the first like 20 minutes.
I haven't seen the movie though, so I
Bro,
can't comment.
it's
I've seen
fine.
it.
It's fine. Okay.
Whatever.
So literally, Light basically says to Ryuk, "What if I write your name in it?" And Ryuk laughs at him and says, "The most only anyone's ever gotten was 2 letters." And then he like implies that he like murdered them. And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Why do they never acknowledge that in the show?" And it's because, duh, you can't fucking kill him. He's immortal. Well, I guess he's not immortal, but the Death Note can't kill him because he's like the creator of the Death Note.
He's not though.
So
He's just
No,
a
he's
guy
not.
the
with
creator,
well,
but
yeah,
he's like the withholder of the. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
He's the
Yeah,
owner
so-
of the
Yeah, he's the owner.
Well,
of the Death
it's
Note.
interesting because the movie, one of, I'll just probably kill this off real quick because I
Okay.
do know the movie. The movie implies that Ryuk needs somebody to be the writer in the note, while the show makes it very clear that
That you don't. That he does.
yeah. Ryuk, the whole purpose of Ryuk being involved in this is he wanted to because he was bored because he has no investment in the human world. He's basically doing this so he has a story.
Yeah, in the movie it's implied that like someone has to own the notebook or else like something like happens to him. Like I don't know, like it's weird. They don't really explain it. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
What's been established so far is that like Shinigami can die, but basically just due to negligence on their part, right? Like they would have to just like get that lazy that they don't write anyone's names for like thousands of years and like, oh shit, I'm out of time. I don't feel
Yeah.
so good, Mr. Thanos. Um, but yeah, it's basically impossible for a Shinigami to die unless they're either suicidal or that negligent because like they can just at on a whim add so many years to their life. Like and it only takes a
Right,
few
yes,
seconds
so
to write the name.
that wait, no, so he actually does need people to die because
Yes.
it adds to his lifespan. So
Well, yeah, but like that. But basically, the only way the Shinigami can die is if like there's like a nuclear level apocalypse, and then like there's like virtually no one left surviving. Which
yeah,
I guess if they, I guess in this world, right, the Shinigami could stop a nuclear thing because they could just be like, well, I'm gonna choose these people to extend my lifespan. Oh no, that cut them by enough that they can't use the nukes. Oh well,
Yeah. I guess so, yeah.
because they can. There's no rule saying they can't choose who to like they can't choose important people to extend their life. Like they could choose the president of the United States or the prime minister of Russia or president of Russia if they wanted to.
Right.
It's like it doesn't matter to them. They don't care about human geopolitics.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he reassures himself that it's impossible for this to actually work. So like, don't need to be nervous. Just like test it out and be done with this stupid prank. But then so this was what I wrote. It's like I guess this is probably the biggest contrivance in the entire first episode is as he's trying to figure out who to write down the name. Um, breaking news: a criminal is like doing criminal things. I wonder whose name Light's gonna write down.
Yeah.
It's such a small thing that like it doesn't matter. It's contrived. Like it's like if people are gonna get mad about that, like boohoo.
Yeah. Well, you gotta have plot
Like
convenience somewhere.
yeah, because I mean here's the thing. Like yeah, it's like very on the nose that like as he's mulling over who to write, like the news literally goes like write this person. Here's their name and face. He's doing bad
Yeah.
things. Like
This whole
but
show
like I mean
this whole show is
yeah.
basically plot convenience the anime, but the plot convenience is so well written that you don't care.
I would disagree with that because
Oh,
after that point, I think a lot of it is very methodical, or at least
okay.
the first 3 episodes anyway. Because like everything that kind of happens is because Light or L wants it to happen that way, right? They're playing a game
True.
of
Yeah.
chess. Like, there's a reason they use chess imagery a lot in later episodes because, like, this is a
Okay.
game of chess between Light and
Yes.
L, so it's not contrivance. They are making tactical moves, and when things work out or don't work out, it's because they outplayed or got outplayed, right? So there's actually,
Yep.
relatively to most shows, not much
Or
contrivance.
Yeah.
or they made a tactical mistake. That is also
Yeah,
one of the
that's a
options.
part of chess too.
Yep.
Like, human
Right.
error is a thing, no matter how good you are. Like, even Magnus Carlsen sometimes makes mistakes, as rare as they are. But yeah, the reason I actually pointed that out, Lulu, because I think it's one of the few examples of, in at least the early episodes, of a clear contrivance, and it's such a minor thing that does it. Like, it really goes to show the quality of the show that basically the only example of clear contrivance I can find is super nitpicky, right? Like,
Yeah.
everything else is super well set up and established and thought out, and everything
Yeah, I
is
agree.
character and strategically motivated. But I do agree with you that a lot of animes do rely on contrivance. I agree with that point. I think Death Note is one of
Right.
the worst examples you could choose.
Gotcha. Okay.
Maybe some of the stuff in the later stuff,
Sure, yeah,
but
yes, yeah. The show does get a bit silly in the final third, but like that's why people don't like the final third, because like the first two thirds mostly doesn't have that. So when you get to
yeah.
that final third, and a lot of it is just bullshit. Like, well, basically, what's gonna happen, Lulu? Like this, I'm being very vague.
Okay.
All the methodical planning goes out the window, and people just kind of reach the conclusions that just happen to be right, right. Instead of like
Oh,
working through the processes. That's why
right.
people don't like the final third of the show, because the whole first two thirds of the show is a lot of methodical planning and people working through the problems and like getting there step by step, and then the final third, just because I guess the authors want to rush to the ending.
Right.
Maybe he was getting tired of writing it or whatever. But like, basically, characters will just come up with a conclusion that like they really shouldn't be able to, based off the information they know, conclude. It's just like a
Oh,
wild hypothesis, and then the hypothesis is always correct. It's like it's very, very
I could see that being
frustrating.
really annoying.
It is, which is why people don't like the final third, which is, it's tough because when two-thirds of the show is so good and the final third is pretty lackluster, it's kind of like, eh. Which is the only
Yeah.
saving grace of the final third is the very last episode's pretty strong. So at least there's like a
Okay.
good final chapter. So,
Yeah.
there's not too many people who complain about the last episode of Death Note. I think it's a pretty satisfying ending, which is at least you get that. Like, it gives you something worthwhile sticking towards. Like, Rang, you would agree the final episode's pretty strong, right?
there's things I like and dislike. We'll get to that eventually, though. I don't
Well, I
wanna.
think the stuff. Yeah, I don't want to get too
So the
sidetracked. I
problem is
think
I can't go into detail because
yeah. Well, because yeah, but the thing, the stuff I dislike about the final episode isn't like the final episode's fault. You know what I mean?
it's some of the build up to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but like that's my point. Is like this, everything that happens in the final episode, independent of the buildup, is pretty strong. It's just the buildup was kind of bullshit, which you can't really blame the conclusion for, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you can because it's the same writer, but you see what I'm saying, right? If you're gonna
I
separate them,
understand what you're saying. We can continue though.
yeah. Yeah. So Light tries out the Death Note and the criminal in the news. And at first it seems like nothing happened, which is like, yeah, of course nothing would happen. But then, to his surprise, the news person announces that the guy just dropped dead of what seemed to be a collapse from like a heart attack or like heat exhaustion. And Light is just like kind of like freaking out, like, that has to be a coincidence, right? Like, there's no way I did that. Like, it's kind of
Yeah.
like, can you imagine your reaction? Like, there's no way in a million years you would think it would work. That it
Yeah.
did. Now you're a murderer. It's like, whoa.
Pretty much.
I guess it's manslaughter, right? Because it's like there's no way you would possibly imagine that you would actually, like, it would be intentional manslaughter, right? That's the legal
Yeah.
term for that.
Yeah,
For
probably. But wait,
second
and then you
second degree?
Oh, cause no, because intentional manslaughter is like when you
ah
intentionally try to do something, but you weren't trying to like you death wasn't your desired goal, right?
Right, yeah.
Like he did intentionally write the name the Death Note, but like he didn't obviously think it was gonna kill the guy, right? It's like the same
Yeah.
thing where it's like you push someone into the sidewalk, right? Like, you were mad, you did intend to push them, but like you couldn't have
yeah.
expected that was gonna kill him. Like, that's like kind of the best analogy I can have because this is obviously such an insane hypothetical that like would never ever be able to happen in real life.
Yeah, like there's either way though. Yeah, it is interesting because yeah, he has that, and then that I believe then the mother comes in and reminds him he has cram school that night,
Yeah,
which is
Rang, this
a
is a. I was just gonna point
big
this out. Do you know
yeah.
what the name of the first person he kills is?
I can't remember the names. I'm terrible with names in real life, let alone fiction.
Oh, I am too, but that's why I take notes. It's Koro. The first person he kills is Koro.
Oh,
Why is that significant?
wait, is it Kuro? Is it Kuro?
It's Kurou.
Oh, well, it's close
Is
enough.
is that the name of an anime character or?
No,
It's a
it's a name of
what it was.
it's a name of a friend, a mutual friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He does gaming streams with Rangy a lot. You'll see
Oh,
his
Yeah,
icon pop up on his thumbnails.
okay.
yeah, he's a fellow weeb.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's actually a bigger weeb than Rangy, surprisingly.
Oh
They do
no.
exist. They're out there.
He isn't. He isn't. He has different He and I have very different tastes, and we agree and
Well, I mean,
disagree on a lot.
I meant so that he's seen more anime than you,
Yep, yeah, he definitely
Oh.
has.
which makes him a bigger weeb. Whether he like you can argue that you have better taste, like that's a completely different conversation.
I
But
mean, I do,
he's
just than anyone else. I've found 100% of my takes I agree with.
Yeah, I mean, you have opinions because
Bruh.
you believe in them, right? That's kind of like the
Yep,
point of
that is
opinions.
the job.
They're yours.
Uh,
But what do you guys think about like his first kill? Like, do you think it would would you have done anything differently, or do you like kind of how they
No,
it all went?
his first kill makes sense. It's like this detached situation. It's
yeah.
like just this random,
Mhm.
this random person in a completely like. Even if they did die, it's like it would be
Mhm.
like morally negligent, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of
Mhm.
like this guy is actively endangering other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always had a bigger problem with the second killing because I definitely have less of a problem with it now because you kind of can see more of the signs that he was a sociopath all along as the show progresses.
Yep,
But like
yep.
upon first watch, the his readiness to kill again was kind of like unsettling
Oh,
and like I thought was unrealistic, right? Because I didn't realize what the show was necessarily going for. Because like I just thought it was this like ordinary guy who just got kind of like was Breaking Bad, like Breaking Bad style. But like it kind of shows that like it wasn't necessarily a good guy going bad. It was just kind of like a bad guy getting unleashed from the
yep.
shackles of society. That's kind of what
Yeah.
this is, rather.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
but yeah. Well, because I can absolutely believe that Light, if he never found the Death Note, probably would have he would have gone into law enforcement. He
hmm
probably would have been pretty effective at his job. He might have
hmm
taken pleasure in like locking up criminals, but I don't think he would
yeah.
like be a criminal himself.
Oh no, he never
Maybe
would have.
at
No.
most
He
he
would have been.
might. Yeah, at
His
most he might get caught like institutional problems. You know?
Yeah.
Basically, I think the only thing you could do is that he would be like hated by his coworkers because he'd be so by the book that he would like rat people out and stuff. Like that's kind of I think the type of trouble he would get in rather than legal trouble. I don't think he would ever be in legal trouble. I think he respects the law too much, right? Or at least that version of Light
Well,
would. I was
yeah,
gonna ask you,
considering
Rue,
who his
specifically
dad
being the
is.
zombie guy. Yeah,
Well,
I was gonna ask you
yeah.
since you're the zombie guy. How do you think this compares to like 'cause it's a very similar trajectory, right, of a lot of zombie shows do that like normal people become these like crazy
Oh,
bastards because
yeah.
society has been freed from them. Like the governor, right? Wasn't he like a school teacher before he became the governor?
Um Negan was a teacher.
Okay, Negan's the teacher.
Governor, I don't remember what he was before the apocalypse, but
He had like some normal day job, right?
yeah, yeah, he was just a normal dude with a family. Yeah, I think
Because
that
like
is
Shane was kind of an exception of like the Walking Dead bad guys, where he actually had like a line of duty that might have led to him being the way he was, right? Like it wasn't just the zombie apocalypse. He probably had some like stress from his cop life that's like bleeding into it, right?
yeah. Um, I think that's a very overused trope nowadays, but I think if you do it
Mhm,
right, then
mhm,
it can make your story very effective because it can either make you sympathize with the villain and be like, oh, like they weren't always a horrible person, or it can do the opposite where like Jesus, like the apocalypse just like show allowed them to show their true colors. um
mhm.
like Negan, I
Which is
like
yeah,
what?
gone.
Ne
No,
I
it's like
like
gone.
okay. That's why I like Negan's backstory because he's just like an ordinary guy, but
The governor too.
yeah, but no, the Negan, we saw that in his backstory, Negan, even though he was like a nice normal guy with a wife and a teacher, he did kind of take pleasure out of like beating people up. And uh once everything like once his wife died and then like he just snapped, he had like zero problem killing people because it was like something that was already there, but it was just like he finally had crossed the line where he was I don't know,
Yeah.
not given permission, but in a situation where it's like, oh, I can kill people, no consequences, I don't give a shit. And only people that are you know fucking have that deep inside them before that, like that's what they would become given that situation. So I think rounding around, if you take Light for example, obviously he is, on his Joker arc, he thinks society sucks and he wants to fix it, but obviously he wants to do it the good way by being a detective until the Notebook. But it's still the same thing where it's like, oh, I can fix society the same way I was going to, but instead of arresting people, I'm killing people, which in his mind I guess is not that different, or I guess it's better for it, like in his mind he's like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
serving
because
justice, but now I'm doing it
it's a
even
final
better.
solution, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no more harm they can do if they're dead, kind of thing. Which is why
Yes.
this is jumping ahead a couple episodes, but like L says that Light has a very childish view of the world, which is absolutely true, right? Like
Yes.
Well,
his
it's funny because Elle says because he also like he relates to like
well, that's not in the first three episodes, but um,
well
but
yeah,
but I was saying that
I forgot I
that
wasn't in the first 3 episodes.
yeah. In episode three, he says that whoever we're dealing with has a very childish view of the world. Because you're right, he does relate to the Light, but I don't think he meant so in that specific viewpoint. I think even though he relates to Light, he understands that like thinking that all bad people must die is a very childish viewpoint in the world. Because I mean, let's
Yeah.
be real here, it is like there's a lot of nuance uh, to all sorts of crimes. Like even the most heinous crimes sometimes have some nuance to them, right? Like it's not that like you murder someone so therefore you deserve to die. Like obviously you can't let these people be functioning members of society, but like I do believe in the death penalty. I mean, let's not get too political here, but like I do think that like it's not a like blanket statement of like you committed a blanket crime, now you died. I mean, like you have that's
Yeah.
why we have judges and juries and
Yeah,
all that stuff.
because L says, like, after he says that quote, he says whoever we're dealing with like has a very strong opinion on what's right or wrong, and that's
Mhm,
exactly right because
mhm,
um even Ryuk acknowledges it, that Light thinks he knows like what's right and wrong
mhm.
and who should die and who should not die, and yeah.
Yeah, that's all very core character elements to who Light and I guess Kira is, right? Because Kira's kind of like Light
His alter
evolved. Like if you look
ego.
at like but it's his alter ego, but I also look at it as like a Pokemon evolution, right? That like stage one is Light, stage two is Kira, and then stage three is God, right? Like he's
Right.
evolving like a
Oh, voice
Pokemon
crack, holy
would.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's utterly shocked it would work. Um and then that's really kind of it for that scene. I mean, do you guys have any other comments on his reaction to figuring out it worked?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's just he's shocked. I mean, there's not too much more to go into that. But yeah, so the next scene is he's in class and he's thinking about killing the bullies, right? Which is the difference I think you said pointed out between the movie and the show is he was thinking about killing the bullies, but he decided that would be like kind of ridiculous use of his newfound power. It's like just because they're bullies
It's
doesn't
also a
mean
massive liability too. That's the other big thing.
well, yeah, that's part of it too.
It would immediately connect the
yeah, because then
Kira
people
to
at his
him.
school would be people at his school would be suspects. So that's like already drawing a lot of attention where he doesn't want it. So it's a mix of like his practicality and like his sense of justice. Let's say it's still a bit more pure at this point in the show, right? Because that does get corrupted over time. I mean, it's a bit of a spoiler, but I think Lulu, you could predicted that, right? Like that's not like I think
It's
here.
not hard to
Yeah,
see
that's
coming.
kind of that's kind
I
of the
mean,
trajectory.
you can even illustrate it in the next episode after what we've planned today, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's
but also,
I mean, there's early
we
elements of
should
that.
get back. We should get back to the main point because we are over an hour in, I think, and we're not even done with the first episode.
I did tell you guys that we could do an entire stream on the first episode. I wasn't kidding when I said that.
Yeah, that is true. No,
It's the first. I mean, the first episode is so freaking dense. Like, because there's just every single line of dialogue just about is set up. So it's like,
oh geez, we're an hour and 20 minutes in.
Yeah, this is why I said we
Peak.
were not going to be able to do more than a couple episodes because, like I said, you
yeah,
can
you
do
were
it.
right.
Yeah,
but you still can't schedule for shit.
Oh no, that is true. I can't schedule for shit. I just knew that like because remember we were originally saying 7 episodes. Like maybe like the last 7 episodes with the first 7. No way.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
like
I
until we get to,
I don't know what I was thinking.
look, I'm glad we're covering this show. It's one of my favorite animes. It's just like it's not like a Zom 100 where you can kind of easily adjust it. There's going to be a lot to talk about because it's a much more self-serious show, right? Like Zom 100 has a lot to say. I'm not trying to like demean it. It's just what it has to say is a lot less complicated.
It's not as dense throughout. It has dense moments and then it has lighter moments.
Yeah.
Which is, I think most of it is lighter, which is kind of thematic, right? That like it's finding light in dark times, right? Since most of it is kind of light, fluffy material, you can kind of breeze through it. Whereas
even that, we probably did what, like 12 hours of coverage.
Yeah, and that was on a like pretty not dense show, but it will get easier. I mean, the first episode's the most dense in the whole series, just because everything is getting established. So, I mean, even if we only get 2 episodes tonight, like it's still like 2 of the more dense episodes in the series down. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So we'll speed up a bit because like we have been doing tangents, which happens in podcasts, but we'll try and I guess limit them from here on out. I still will get one South Park one in. After it's my duty. That'll be determined.
Oh yeah, you do. You'd have to do that.
Yeah, but Kaku should I can't pronounce it. The second guy he kills is the motorcycle asshole.
Yeah.
I think Taku
Shibimaru. Yeah, he's established to be kind of the Yankee archetype. The Yankee archetype.
Yankee archetype?
Okay, basically this is like the Japanese delinquent archetype with basically so it's essentially the equivalent of a greaser. That's the easiest way to put it.
Oh, so like the guy in
like a hero.
I was gonna say like the guy in the Red Line.
Kind of the guy in Red Line. Yeah, he'd probably fall into the Yankee. The Yankee is more like for young adult, like high school through and college age, like adults. But yeah,
the guy from Red Line was that.
Yeah, but yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, basically, there was a period because the best way to put it is Japan. A lot of time they adopt culture from the U.S., but they adopt it in different eras. And this guy was like one of the Japanese bikers. Is kind of the implication. He is like a hooligan, and
I wouldn't say he was. I see what you're saying, but I don't think this is a good example of the trope because he's not really a hooligan. He's just a rapist. So
well, no. He's an attempted rapist. Come on.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
get it right, Iron.
I
He
think it's
has a skill
It's
issue. He hasn't
allegedly. He's
done
allegedly a
for-
rapist.
No,
I think it's
it's a
implied
skill
that he
issue.
does this. I think it's implied that he does this regularly. So I don't think
I
it's
think it
a
is
perfect
Yeah.
defense.
actually. Yeah, no, the guy's like a. Yeah, the guy's like a. This is another one of those cases where it feels like a divine thread. It's like light stumbled on another person. He could like justify killing
Yeah,
without like
yeah,
too much moral
because here's the
implication.
thing: the first time was manslaughter. Like
Yeah, this time
whatever
is murder,
classification
but
of
it's a
manslaughter. This
bad
one is just straight
person.
up murder because he knows the book is just a murder weapon at this point. It's a very good one, but like it's as even though this is like morally acceptable in many people's eyes, it's still not his decision to play judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah, I
And
agree. No, I agree with that.
also, here's
But
another
what I
thing to
mean,
take
I'm
into account
talking
too.
about it.
He's not doing it for moral reasons. Is another thing. Probably most defenders of Light's action here don't take into account. Like he's doing it just to prove that it wasn't a coincidence the first time, and to test
Yeah,
out
no,
another function. Note. So like he's not even doing this for moral reasons. It's just like, oh, here's my next guinea pig.
I
Yeah.
agree with you. But what I mean more, it's an escalation, but it's an escalation Light can justify to himself.
Sure, but like the difference is it's not like eight stringing along like it's like I'm trying to point out is this is not a good guy going bad situation.
Yeah,
It's like it's a
I agree with you.
sociopath having a new toy because like
I yeah,
yeah.
I agree with you. But my view on it is also like his fall would probably be slower without like this other opportunity where this is a technically more minor criminal, but it's also
Mhm.
somebody he still justify as like a bad person, and he can still
Yeah.
justify to himself killing while still seeing himself as moral.
I also don't think that it's really uh expedited his descent much because he was already thinking who he should kill next. It's just that this he was trying to decide on who and I guess
Yeah.
fate gave him the answer. So it's like,
Yep.
I mean, realistically, he delayed his ascent probably by a couple of days at most. So he probably would have did some research and figured out who he was going to kill next. So,
Yeah.
but it makes
That's
for
true,
good
but
testing. It makes for the purpose of the scene is really to show the versatility of
yeah,
the Death Note.
it's him testing. It's also him testing out like that.
The non heart attack function, which in the first three episodes is the only time you see him kill without a heart attack.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like we were mentioning earlier, Lulu, like he kills everyone with a heart attack on purpose because he wants to be discovered. He
Right.
wants people to
Yeah.
know
Oh
someone's
no.
doing
Well, actually though, there's more to it, but I'm gonna highlight
this.
this in the future
Okay.
when we
Well,
get
I
to
mean,
the other
the
episodes.
more to it is he wants there to know someone's doing it because he wants criminals to like fear
He
him and he
wants a
wants people to
pattern to
like
exist.
yeah, he wants the pattern to
Yeah.
exist because he wants to be no he's a sociopath. He wants to like be acknowledged by society for his actions. He wants to be seen as like some divine like judge, right? Like that that like you better like follow his guidance or he'll literally smite you. Like he's like a very fire and brimstone like Old Testament god type of figure.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so yeah, he tested out the Death Note and confirmed that it is real. The first time was not a coincidence. So
This is kind of the final like confirmation I think with the Death Note because it's like okay that could have been like a coincidence. I don't know it is, and I don't want to like experiment too much without knowing what I'm dealing with. That's what it
mhm.
feels like the mentality of Light is. He
Yeah,
probably
he's very
would have
methodical in
still.
how he does this. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. It probably has only like escalated it by days, but also I think that him getting away with this does embolden him, you know?
Because he
Yeah.
got away with it kind of like at the scene of the crime, whereas like it's
Yeah,
like if I can get away with it at the scene of the crime, I can get away from it with the comfort of my house. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
um, so that's half what we're halfway through the first episode. Jesus Christ,
Yep, we
we're an
can.
hour and a half
Okay,
in,
let's
right?
just continue.
Yeah. So, Death Note title card number 1. The human whose name is written in this note shall die. Death Note title card number 2. This note will not take effect unless the writer has the person's face in their mind when writing his or her name. Therefore, people sharing the same name
Yeah.
will not be affected. So sometimes they're new rules, but most of the time it's just reminding the watcher
Yeah.
of the
So they
existing
don't
rules.
forget the rules. Yeah.
But also I think it's very important to like have like the like exact listed rules there. I
Yeah,
think
and
it's
the
very important.
terminology, because it's like the genie
Yep.
thing, right? Like the wordage is very particular, so that there can't be any misunderstandings or like loopholes.
Yeah, like there's certain things that come up that I can like talk to you after this that I feel like
Mhm.
are spoilers that you've mentioned that I feel are incorrect, but I can't justify it on stream because it's
Yeah,
spoilers. I can't
yeah, you can.
justify it with Lulu here either.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I'm not gonna go into a lengthy discussion with you tonight because I do need to get some sleep. But I will definitely talk
Well, you
with you
don't
about it at
need
some
to.
point.
You want to. You will
Yeah,
survive if you don't
Sleep is
sleep.
for the weak, Iron.
yeah. I wish I didn't have to sleep as much, but I've only flesh and bone. I have yet to transcend this this
This mortal
meat
plane.
bag
Real
body,
issue.
this mortal plane. Yeah, we're not robo people yet. Anyway, so Ryuk tricked the Shinigami referred to as the old man, who's there seems to be some kind of hierarchy in the Shinigami world, as the
Yeah.
old man seems to be more important than most. Uh, and in order, maybe he was like a founding Shinigami or something like that, or the first Shinigami. We don't really know, but he has a more prominent position, and he did it in order to get a second Death Note, which will be relevant later.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Right, Rangi?
I was wondering if that was going anywhere.
That, like, I
Yeah,
mean, I can't say much, but it's relevant.
Okay.
I was gonna say, you've already said more than you probably should have, so I'm not gonna comment.
Well, I mean, they pointed out that there's a second Death Note, which
Yeah.
is like
They made it
it's checked
obvious.
it's Chekhov's second Death Note. There's not
Oh
gonna be a
wait,
second Death Note
do
just
you
because
mean
it's a wizard.
Ryuk's Death Note?
Well, dude.
Well, no. I'm saying that I know the answer. I'm saying that for the audience. Come on.
Anyway, we're gonna move on because my brain is too tired to not have this conversation without giving too much away.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
I was gonna say, yeah, that's why I'm highlighting. Yeah, well, let's continue. Yeah,
yeah,
so we
yeah.
got
So Ryuk
through.
sprouts rings, which because that's another thing too. In the entire first half of the episode, you don't see him with wings, which is I think for the rest of the show you only see him with wings, right?
No, he selectively has wings in the show.
Yeah, it seems like he can
Oh,
just retract them whenever. Like,
I guess I never really picked up on that detail because I just always associate him with wings. So
Yeah.
I'll have to pay more
It,
attention to that specific
it
detail.
seems like Shinigami can just decide when they have wings,
yeah.
which makes sense, I guess. Having wings outside of when you're using them probably would be highly inconvenient.
Yeah, even though they can just phase through things because they're angels. But
Yeah.
the design of Ryuk is fucking sick. Is my next note, which I don't think
Yes.
there's any counter arguments to be made
He,
there.
he, he
You're
has a
He's
very
either
beautiful.
Tim
agree or you're
Burton.
wrong.
Dude,
Yeah,
okay, can
his
I just
design
say
has always
something?
reminded me of Tim Burton.
Oh, he does
Yeah,
have a
I
Tim
got
Burton
that.
design to him. Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Ryuk is cute. All right, I'm just putting it out there. He's adorable. I would hug him.
That's kind of gay.
I want to hug him.
I I think there's kind of like that like puppy dog aspect to Ryuk, especially
Yeah.
with the apple. I mean, that's already been established, but that'll be a running joke throughout
Yeah, well,
throughout, throughout the
he's
throughout the show.
extremely expressive, which I think is very important given like
Mhm.
his role
Well,
in
his
some like stuff that
one
happens.
thing I've noticed upon this watch through specifically is that he will grin before revealing crucial information, right? Like it's kind of
Yeah.
like he's excited. He's like, oh, I'm about to spice things up. So
True.
he gets like
Yeah.
he's always kind
Oh
of
yeah,
grinning, but he gets like a bigger grin when he's about to like, oh, let's see how he light reacts to this. This should be good.
Yeah. Like we haven't gotten there yet, but when the
Hmm. Well, the end of
when
the third episode was an
yeah
example of
when the
that. He's like,
guy
oh, oh, oh.
when the guy is stalking him, he like laughs
Yeah.
for a second. He's like,
Well,
I should tell you
he
this,
does a
but
Well, Lulu, he does like 3 back to back because he does the thing with the stalker, and then he does it like twice during the deal scene.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, because know what I mean? Like he's like, ooh, let's see how, because like that's the ending of the episode, obviously. But
Yeah.
like he's like, oh, this should be fun. This light's gonna, I'm gonna blow his mind right here. I'm gonna rock your world. But yeah, so Rangy already pointed out earlier, he ranked #1 exam because he's top of his class. His
Yeah.
mom offers to get him anything he wants. Light declines the offer as he already has everything that he could want. Which is an interesting choice of words given what he just received. The power of the Death Note has already gone to his head, and it's only going to get worse. So
Yep.
that's kind of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
scene established.
Well, what did you say? He's shocked that anyone has like he's shocked because nobody has ever written this amount of names in the Death Note
Yeah, no
prior
one's ever written the amount of
within a
names.
short time.
Well, no. I
Yeah.
think he said no one's ever wrote this amount of names ever, let alone in this short of period of time, right? Like he's already the most
Uh,
heavy user of the Death Note because he killed like 2,000 people or something.
well, I think he just highlights in this short amount of time.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
because he
think
says
he.
5 days specifically.
Well, you also have to remember, Rangi, is he has access to technology, which already gives him a huge edge on everyone who had it before. Because um, didn't Ryuk say that it was like hundreds of years ago the last time it came to the human world?
I
He
don't
did,
know.
Pretty sure.
but I think
So
I'm
because you remember,
pretty sure the dialogue was specific, but nobody's ever used it to this level in this short amount of time.
but
It was something.
you can infer though, right, that like since he has
He
access to
so
everyone in the
Light
world.
probably killed more people in the whole show than any other person
Well,
who
just
had a
because of
death note.
the situation he finds himself in, right? Like he can just look up like almost everyone on the internet and kill them, right? Like you would actually have to physically go and travel to each and every person back in the
But
day.
Yeah.
well, no. Well, especially if you're talking about like different societies, there have been like historically like good record keeping societies.
You need a face. That's just a name in a book.
Yeah.
That much is true, but like I can
It's like
believe
the internet.
within a
I can pull up.
lifetime there are people who have like used the Death Note to more of a degree than Light did within this 5 days. Within the whole show,
So
no.
is that why it's implied that he only drops the book every couple hundred years because he's like, oh, I want to see how like humans have changed.
Well, he's not the only one who drops the book.
Yeah,
It's only
Right.
implied that this
other
happened.
Shinigami do it sometimes too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's also implied most of the time it's accidental when it happens, whereas Ryuk did it intentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's a bit different than
Well,
all the other Shinigami. Because
he and
this is
Light
not like a huge
are both
spoiler. It's
fire
like
starters.
there are other Shinigami characters in this show, but like Ryuk's obviously the main one. But like
Yeah.
Ryuk is shown to be kind of an outcast. So
I
Yeah.
figured.
Well, but like I said, he and Light are basically fire starters.
mhm.
Yeah.
They.
But speaking of fire stars, that's gonna be coming up soon. Yeah. But yeah,
I
he
chose
begin
my words intentionally.
which is funny because it's funny you laugh like that because my next note is he begins to laugh maniacally. And that's a JoJo like thing right there. I knew you were gonna do that. Your next line is you're gonna laugh maniacally. Uh,
The funny thing too, that is just my laugh.
yeah. Which is I don't you're can you guys give me some context here because I actually forget what this note is entailed to. Ryuk scares the shit out of Light. Oh, is it when they
Uh,
first
Oh, when they
meet?
first
Is that what
meet.
that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because
Well, so Light believed that. Remember, Light believed that he wasn't supposed, like, the use of a Shinigami's notebook would be like for forbidden knowledge, and he used it actively. And in fact, he implies kind of almost he knew that it was supposed to be forbidden, so he thought that he would be killed for using it, and so that's
Oh
why it's
yeah.
implied that's
That's
why he
why
used
he
it to
did
the
so
extent he
many in
did.
Yeah,
that
because
short period of time. Yes.
because when Ryuk
Yeah.
shows up, Light's just like, okay, get it over with, like, take my soul, and Ryuk's like, the
Yeah.
fuck are you talking about?
Nah, I'm just here for the wolf, man.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I don't know if it's later on or literally in that scene, but Ryuk says one thing you should know about writers of the Death Note is that they're not allowed to go to either hell or heaven, and then he laughs. And I just thought that
Oh,
was really interesting because that means like
yeah,
if
yeah,
you
like I said,
use
and like I said,
is that
there's
foreshadowing?
certain,
Is that
you know,
foreshadowing? Okay.
no,
Uh,
okay, wait, hold on. This ties into one of my disagreements with Iron that we had
Oh,
that well he doesn't know about, but that I have with things he said prior to us being on stream.
okay. I was gonna say it sounds like either the holders of the note like go straight to purgatory, or they're sent to like some like dimension that's like similar to hell or something.
Oh,
So
so
I'm
should
not
I
sure.
actually?
Don't
I'm kind
spoil
of
it. Don't
like
spoil
wait,
it.
wait,
That's my
shush,
guess.
shush,
That's
shush.
my guess.
I'm using
I'm
the
just
shush
assuming
button on your
it's purgatory. I'm assuming it's purgatory. So
Rangy will be quiet now.
I am gonna be quiet. I can't say, but I am going to talk to Iron about this
okay.
immediately after the stream ends.
And
Yeah, because it's just gonna be a quick thing. I'm just gonna mention.
okay,
Okay.
yeah, I'll take a look at it. But like I said, I'm not going to do a lengthy
Just like DM it to him or something. Yeah.
night anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm actually probably just gonna DM it to him.
yeah. Anyway, Lulu,
Yeah.
that was that scene because you said you weren't sure it
Yeah.
was the same scene.
Okay.
Um, yeah, because that's actually almost one of the first things he says to him because the first thing he says is you've taken quite a liking to it, which is
Yeah.
kind of it's funny because like it's not as much of a lot of these other first lines are a lot more like elegant thematically, right? Like this one's still thematic, it's just kind of more of a blunt one. It's just like, yep, I mean, it's gone to his head, and like that's kind of like the point of that line.
Also,
Like,
Iron, I just DM'd the thing I was talking about to
Huh.
you.
yeah, I saw.
Wait, interesting. So Ryuk says if you don't want the notebook, you can give it to someone else and your mind will be wiped that you ever had it. In the movie, it's
Yep.
implied if that you try to get rid of the notebook, you die.
Yeah,
So,
No,
that's just made up for the movie.
yeah, I
yeah,
figured.
no,
I
it's
figured.
much more interesting how the show does it, and
Yeah, I
that's
agree. I
all I'll say
agree.
about
Yeah.
that. But yeah, so Ryuk introduces himself, referring to himself as a Shinigami in the process. So like, there's no uncertainty there. Light now knows exactly what he's dealing with because like, as we kind of touched on earlier, Shinigamis are like a staple of Japanese culture and mythology,
Yeah.
religion.
Yeah.
He informs Light that he possesses his Death Note, and this is when you touched on it earlier, Lulu, that like Light was like oddly composed and like was ready to like be killed for what he did, and he did it knowing full well that he's probably going to face consequences, which is actually an
Yeah.
interesting version on the sociopath trope because usually a lot of sociopaths only do it because they don't think they'll get caught, whereas he did this thinking he would get caught, which actually shows
True.
that he's there's more to him than your typical sociopath.
Yes.
Um, because
Yeah,
Light is a very
so
interesting deep character.
I think that's the interesting thing because he did it does imply that his ideological view of the world is just like what he actually believes he does actually believe to be true. It's not just that he believes that his view of the world is the correct one, even though that is clear. And I think that's more implied by the fact that he put so many names in the note. But it's
Well, the
also
fact
just
that
the fact that
he was willing
yeah,
to die for it is an
Yeah.
yeah,
interesting. It shows
that's
he's not a
exactly what I was gonna
coward,
say.
which is it's interesting because like a lot of these people act all big on like I guess like an analogy would be like online trolls, right? Like, oh, here's my South Park reference. So like in the South Park, there's a whole season on trolling, right? And like a lot of these trolls act big and tough online, saying like really heinous shit that's
Yeah, we do.
really bad things. Yeah, and but then Denmark, I believe, is the country that like basically doxes all of them, and then they all get like beat up by the people that bullied IRL, and they're facing the consequences, and like they're not so big now, right? They were talking all this tough talk, but now they have to face their problems IRL. They just like crumple at the consequences and repercussions. So there's my South Park reference for you.
Hell yeah.
But Light is not what Ryuk initially expected. Because Ryuk takes a lot of interest in the humans, but like he's never met one quite like Light, which is
Yeah.
understandable. Light is a pretty intriguing individual. Makes
Yeah.
the show a lot of fun to watch. Um, yeah, and it's good. Like I said, there's obviously you're only 3 episodes in, Lulu, so like there's a lot of what I'm saying you can dive into deeper upon a full watch, but like um since we're only 3 episodes in, this is I'm like cutting the foreshadowing short for a lot of this stuff.
Okay.
Um yeah. Cuz I actually even have like little quotes around some of the stuff that like seems like on a surface level analysis one thing, but once you know the full context is actually another. So like I've
Oh,
kind of
interesting. Okay.
yeah,
So
so there's
you're
a few
writing them
subversions.
you're writing them in your notes for later on when we get to the episode so you can bring them back up.
Yeah, I'll try and
Okay.
do that.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably I guess what I could do is just go through them again and just copy paste them into a new section, so I don't have to like re-look for them again like midstream.
Right.
Um, yeah, so that's a good idea to like actually make make a point to get that like prepared beforehand rather than scrambling. Uh,
Yeah.
you know how good I am at scrambling, but
True.
I'm always just making things work on the fly. But
Yeah.
you two are very good at accommodating. I shall thank you two for that.
What do you mean?
But I'm usually the one rearranging our schedules, and you guys usually just like are able to make it work.
Oh, yeah.
So that is a big old thank you from me. Um, but yeah, so he begins to inform him that there's several death notes made their way to the human world throughout history, but no one else. You're right, Rangi and Lulu. No one else has ever written as many names as him. Actually, no. My my thing says no one's ever written as many names as him, comma, and he's only had the book for 5 days.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
okay, wait,
I
hold on. Let
this
me.
might be a wrong note, but
Oh, I was gonna say, continue on, and I'm gonna just look up the scene
Another
in
yeah,
the
just
background.
another interesting thing is that in the movie, Ryuk appears immediately alongside the book. Like he appears before Light's first kill, whereas in this version, Light like watches or sorry, Ryuk watches Light kill like three or no, wait, he watches him kill a lot of people and then shows up. Um and I wonder is it explained why Ryuk waits in the show? Like he waits like a week before showing up versus in the
yeah, because
movie it's immediately.
I don't know why the movie did it, but in the show it's because he's just observing. Like he wants to get a kind of a he wants to kind of just like get a gauge on him before he introduces himself because he knows
Okay.
once he introduces himself he can't undo that
Uh, yep.
dynamic shift. So he wants
Yeah.
to just
I
kind of
have
see
the
Light.
line. I have
Yeah.
the line. Give me a second.
Yeah, so I just finished that thought. He just wants to see Light kind of as is before
Yeah.
he moves the game into the next phase, so to speak. Because this is all game to
Right.
him. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
There we go. To use it to this extent in just 5 days.
all right. So
Yeah.
it looks like that was an incorrect note on my part. W for Rengi.
Yep. Common W.
Yeah, Weeb 1, Monkey 0.
Yep.
But yeah,
This,
no.
this, this, this
It,
is his specialty. We're in his arena right now.
with,
Or
with,
as Jujutsu Kaisen would say, we're in his domain.
you are in my domain. I use domain expansion. Weep knowledge.
um, Ryuk informs him that the Death Note becomes a part of the human world as soon as it leaves the Shinigami realm, and the notebook is now his. Which will be later clarified in episode 3. What that means is when it touches like terra firma, like when it actually hits the ground, that's when it becomes part of the human world.
Because it makes a noise. Like it.
Mhm.
I don't think it. I don't know if it makes a noise when it hits the ground, but when light picks it up, I don't know if you guys heard it, but I heard like a little like monster growl, like not like a shit, but like it just sounded like a monster like growling when he picked up the notebook, and I assume that was the noise indicating that like he is now the owner and like you know can't get rid of the book
I
and
didn't catch
everything.
that,
So
but that very well might be the case. I would not be surprised if the show did something like that. I just personally didn't notice it myself. What about you, Rangy?
What was that? Sorry, I was answering a
What
text.
Lulu, you can run it
when
down.
when light first picks up the notebook outside, it makes like a monster growling noise, like and I figured that was symbolizing that like he's now the owner, and yeah, that's it.
So there's no like mystic like link to the Death Note. Like if Light lost the book and some other rando picked it up, there wouldn't be like any consequences to Light.
Okay.
Uh,
Because in the movie, it's implied that you can't get rid of the notebook unless you do a specific thing. Like,
yeah, that's just kind of bullshit.
yeah, but I guess it makes sense because it's like in the movie, it's like a cursed object where like you can't get rid of it unless you do like specifically what Ryuk tells him to do, like to get rid of it. I can't remember what the instructions are. He says like leave it in a leave it where you found it for like 3 days or something, and it'll find a new owner. I think that's what the instructions are. But like if he doesn't do that, then he can't get rid of it. Like it'll just like pop up back near him, I think. It's like I think at one point he tries to like throw it away, and then when he gets home it's just like sitting on his desk, I think. Um I could be wrong. I might be I might be thinking of a totally different movie, but I'm pretty sure that's what happens. So
It's like Jumanji.
yeah, kind of.
um, but Ryuk tells him he can give the Death Note away, but if he does, Ryuk will erase his memory of it, which we've kind of went
Yes.
over already. Light's reaction to all this is I can use the Death Note all I want and I won't be punished. So this is where like kind of that sociopathic element comes back in.
Yeah.
That's like sociopath 101 right there.
Oh, I can commit genocide and have no repercussions? Hell yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I don't have morals, or at least he does in his own weird twisted way, but like
Yeah.
normal morals are for boring people. I'm special.
Yeah.
Um So Ryuk responds with a very cryptic response, and this is what you touched about earlier. This is just a specific quote. Let's just say this: you will feel fear and pain known only to humans who have used the notebook, and when it's your turn to die, it will fall on me to write your name in my death note. Be warned that any humans who uses the death note can neither go to heaven nor hell for eternity. That's all he
Yeah.
has to say. Uh, that's all is. Sorry, this did I write here? That all is what he says after all that. That's a really bad note. And then I wrote Keck.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. Wait, I didn't notice this before. I don't know if he says this in the dub. You'll find out about it after you die. Oh no. The foreshadowing.
yeah,
Um
that's the next line in the sub is as well as now you have something to look forward to after you die.
yeah, okay, cuz I watched the dub and I don't remember him saying that. Maybe I just missed that
I
line.
mean, there's usually
Cuz
slight differences. I mean, Rangi, if he's
yeah.
here, can confirm 'cause you
I
watched both. 'Cause I
hate
watched the sub, you watched the dub, and he
the
watched
dub
both.
doesn't have
I mean, I've seen the.
subtitles, which pisses me off, but that's probably
That's
because
weird.
the subtitles might be
Are you
different
watching on
than the
Netflix?
dub. I don't know. No, I'm watching it on a funny website.
Arg.
Yeah,
Um,
I watch them in Tortuga personally. I thought that
I
was the
mean,
best place to watch them. You know, it cost a
Netflix
lot
makes
for
it
the plane
easy.
ticket.
Um, but I have just to put it out there. I have seen this in both sub and dub. I've watched it once in sub and once
Yeah.
Okay.
in dub.
Do you like one
But
or
this
the
is
other?
I watched the 3 episodes in the dub before start, and last night I watched them. Well, you jumped in while I was watching the sub. So.
yeah. So I've only on this watch through. I'm only watching it in sub. I originally planned to do both, but then I realized like, fuck, I don't have the time for that.
Do you
It's
have
like,
one
what am
you
I
Yeah,
doing?
prefer?
you can barely make a stream with watching one.
There's no shot I can do both. That's the dream though. But yeah, then this crazy conversation gets interrupted by his mom knocking on the door, and
Well,
Ryuk
this
tells
is
Light
also
to open the
yep.
door,
This
which
is
is
also when
interesting
we
because
establish the fact Shinigami can't be perceived outside of people who have like touched the Death Note. This is like
which
the
Yep.
is
first.
I always thought was interesting is that like Ryuk just tells Light to open the door. He doesn't is very cryptic and he doesn't like tell him that like she can't see me or anything like that. Like it's very in character for him just to like fuck with him more. And like at this point in the show, the Ryuk still has like kind of more of the balance of power, right? Like as Light gets more confident, he kind of needs Ryuk less and less, and you'll start to see that. But like at this point, right, he's just kind of at Ryuk's mercy, so he just
Yeah.
does what he's told.
Oh,
And
another
yep.
interesting thing about the movie. Sorry, I keep bringing it up, but
I mean, we'll eventually
um,
when I eventually cover it, like when
so
I've seen it, I'll have
Light's
more to say.
love
But yeah, go on.
Light's love interest towards the end of the movie uses the Death Note, but she never sees Ryuk because Light is the owner of the book, and so therefore he can only see him. Um, but obviously we see that in the show. That's not how it works. But thought that was interesting.
Sorry, Rangy's just talking about
Oh,
the thing we can't talk to you about
oh,
yet.
you're good. You're good.
Um, yeah. So then Light hides Death Note before answering it, showing that he's always cautious even around his own family, which is
Yeah.
yep in line with his character. And his mom brought apples, which is a fun little payoff. So she mentions how dark it is that is she mentions how dark it is in his room, makes a comment about him ruining his eyesight. Funny that she should mention eyesight, which
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
That
later
there's
on,
one of those examples of a note that like foreshadows something later that I've been skipping over a couple of them, but like since you've already gotten to the early payoff for that in episode 3, that's why I said it this time around.
yeah. Interesting.
Um Light notices his mom can't see Ryuk, which means he was literally just about to expose himself because I guess when an angel of death tells you to do something, you do it.
Yeah.
um, yeah, and then Ryuk informs Light that only he can see him and that only Light can hear him, which you've probably noticed, Lulu, like there's a lot of fun little moments of Ryuk just kind of making amusing comments because he can just talk all he wants and only Light can hear him.
Yeah, I find that funny where I think it's episode 2 or 3. Ryuk's just following him around everywhere and be like annoying him and trying to talk to him, and like just like, bro, you can't talk to me out in public. I'm gonna look like a fucking schizo.
Yeah, he said, I may be fucking insane, but like I need to appear normal.
Yeah,
But yeah, like it's I mean obviously he doesn't think he's insane, but we all know he is. Like
yeah,
dude is not okay in the head. And it only gets worse. But yeah, it's just I always find Ryuk's just like little musings about how weird and funny humans are. I always enjoy his little comments.
yeah. Humans are so interesting. Yeah, that's what he
Yep.
says.
That's his
Yeah,
like his little catchphrase.
I love that. That's how the movie ends with him saying that and then just like laughing. Because I never
Interesting.
realized. I was like,
Spoilers.
I never what.
I don't care that much. I'm just saying. You said that's how the
No,
movie ends.
yeah, it's just the last
Movie I haven't
line. It's
seen.
just the last line of the movie. Him saying his famous quote.
Blah, blah, blah.
Um,
You know how many movies the last line would like completely ruin the movie if you knew
sorry.
it? I don't care. I've heard it's really bad, but you seem to. Do you like it? I know you said you're not as much of
Uh,
a hater, but like, would you say you like it?
there's some things I like about it. Some things I think they could have done a lot better. I think
All right.
the
Well, yeah.
idea was there. The idea was there, just not the execution.
I can't comment yet, but I guess we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then he tells Light that the Death Note bonded them together, Human and Shinigami, which they're going to be a fun duo throughout the show.
Yeah.
Ryuk takes a bite out of one of the apples and really enjoys it. Yum, he says to himself upon eating it. I wonder what this apple eating scene. Oh, that's right. I had to cut myself off there. Yeah, the apples aren't just a joke. There's going to be some plot relevance to
Oh.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought it was just a quirk where it was like his favorite food.
Well, it is a quirk, but like Light uses this kind of information to his advantage, right? Like,
Wait, does he? Oh my god!
It's a joke with plot relevance.
Can I guess?
Yes.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Does he
Sure.
Does he try to bend Ryuk to his will, saying like, if you don't do this, I'm not gonna give you apples or something like that?
More or less. I mean,
Okay,
I'm not going to
alright.
give you specifics, but you're not far off the mark.
Okay.
So you're in the right ballpark for sure.
Yeah.
He says apples in the human world make them worth the trip. He calls them juicy. Light gets annoyed that Ryuk is not answering his question. Yep.
Yep. No, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Light gets annoyed that Ryuk is not answering his question of why he was chosen, and then to that Ryuk states he didn't choose him, and this is all just an accidental coincidence. He wasn't chosen because of any particular reason. He just happened to find it. He tells Light not to be so vain. And there's another little snarky comment I made there. Anyway, Ryuk said he wrote in English because English is the most commonly spoken language in the world, which Rangy pointed out earlier. Light wants to know the real reason the Death Note arrived in the human world. He doesn't buy the whole accidental excuse, so Ryuk tells him the truth. He did it because he was bored. The Shinigami mostly nap and gamble these days. He says the other Shinigami make fun of Shinigami who write a lot of names. He essentially calls them tryhards. Like that's like basically like the Shinigami make fun of you for like those kids in school are like, oh, you got an A? Ooh, what a nerd, what a loser. Like that's what the Shinigami have become.
Yeah.
And
I love
then you
how
can't kill others. Yep, go on.
I love how shocked like cuz Ryuk smirks. He's like, you want to know why I dropped it? And then he smirks, and then he's like, cuz I was bored. And then
Yeah, it's such a
Light
good
is like
delivery.
shocked. He's like, cuz you were bored? It was so funny. It's so funny.
Yeah. Ryuk is like Ryuk's a good like character to kind of consistently humble Light because
Yeah.
I mean throughout the show Light will get a bigger and bigger head, but like Ryuk's one of his main purposes is to kind of slow that progression, right? Because like he'll constantly kind of like put Light in check, which like because it basically he'll get to points he'll get to later in the show much quicker if it wasn't for Ryuk putting him in his place all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say with that, keep it vague, nice
Gotcha.
and vague. You can't kill other Shinigami by writing their names. That is,
No.
I wouldn't say that's the most important rule, but that like is a somewhat relevant rule. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll see why later, but like it's not. It's notable. We'll just put it like that. And then he says it brings him no amusement to kill people from the Shinigami realm. Says it'd be more fun to come down and join in on the fun himself in Earth.
Right.
So is Rangy here? I'm just curious.
I'm here. Sorry. I've been
Like,
dealing with something in the background.
oh no, all good. I was just gonna say, is that in the actual book that you can't kill other Shinigami by writing their names, or is that just something like Ryuk just decides to tell them?
Well, what? No, it's already explained in the rules of the Death Note. The human whose name is written in this will die. Yeah, the Shinigami, they can't kill them. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only way, though, there's a way that Shinigami can die that we learn, but it's
Anyway, Ryuk switches the conversation back to Light's activities with the Death Note and finds it odd that he only wrote out the cause of death for the one guy who was hit by the truck. Light wants the world to know that someone's causing the death of all these criminals, that there is someone casting righteous judgment upon the wickedness of the world. So,
Damn.
yeah. Calm down, little bro.
well, I think it also plays into the fact that it's a heart attack of all things. It's something that like is harder to justify as like just outside interference, but at the same time he's going out of his way to make it so that people know. I think it fuels into his god complex because of that.
Sure.
But
yeah, I want people to worship
but I
me.
can't discuss other details of why he's doing it that way yet. Iron, you know why.
Yeah.
But no, the whole thing where he's like, I want people to worship me. I want them to think I'm God. Like,
yeah, he literally
thing.
said righteous judgment. Like,
yeah.
calm down, my guy.
I think that's why people liked this is a really weird analogy. That's why people really liked season 2 of Dexter, is because for a short while Dexter has that complex where he wants people to view him as a hero. And I thought that was like so interesting, and then like they kind of ditch it after that, where they're like, oh, Dexter doesn't care anymore, people think he's a hero or not. So whereas
that gonna be
this,
your
like
South Park
this is the
thing?
whole
Is that gonna
main
be your
plot.
Is that gonna be your South
we're
Park
we're
thing, where
2
you have to
hours
reference
in.
Dexter
Yeah,
everything?
I'm gonna have a Dexter analogy for everything we do now. Yeah.
So we're obviously not gonna do episode 3 at this point, but do you want to do 2 or just 1?
Well, we might as well at least do 2.
Yeah, let's do 2. It's not
I'm
that.
still here.
There's less things that happen
Okay, well,
there. It shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah.
all right. Well, then we'll
That's the
we'll do
thing. There's a
episode
lot
2
of
then.
like philosophical and other like aspects and mechanical aspects to discuss in episode 1. I think that's why it's taken us so long.
Well, I was gonna say episode. I told you episode 1 would be the longest by far because there's just so much needs to get set up. And then like there's so much to be read into in almost every single line. Like, I mean, obviously, like lines of dialogue should be chosen with a purpose and should be in character, but like there's not as in later episodes, not every line is so thematically poignant. We'll put it that way, right? Like literally it's dripping with themes in this first episode because they want to set it all up.
That's why I'd actually say this is probably one of the best opening arcs of an anime I've ever seen. You know?
Oh, it is. I think I don't think maybe Attack on Titan would be another contender.
Do I need to watch that?
You're touching on one of my hot takes. I don't like Attack on Titan.
Really? I don't like the ending.
Is that something we should
I don't like
review
the beginning.
at some point?
Maybe. Well, it would take us a long time to get through.
Oh,
It would
is
take
it
us much longer than Death. It's a long one and it's super dense and there's a lot of stuff to go.
Okay.
So yeah, there's
There's
things
much
I
more-
like about it, but I'm not overall a fan.
Okay.
Let's put it this way: it's about like 4 times the length of Death Note.
Jesus.
And it's just as dense.
Wait, so I bring this up. I found out there was like a reboot of Death Note. Is that worth reviewing?
Is that I didn't know about a reboot.
It was called Death Note Relight.
Oh, that's
I'll
like
have to look into it. I think it's a movie.
I thought it was a light novel.
Yeah, our archive. Yeah, I didn't like the beginning of. So I should say I liked the first 4 episodes. I hated the Titan shifting. That's what I hated.
Anyway.
Oh wait, no. Okay, the description says it's literally just scrapped content from the show. Okay, maybe it's not what I thought it was. I thought it was a continuation.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's either a movie or an OVA.
Okay.
I'm not gonna comment on why a sequel wouldn't make much sense. But anyway, the sparks something with so upon hearing that quote, like Ryuk's eyes light up because like it sparks something within him. He's like, oh, I got something even better than I could possibly imagine. Like he's like, this is gonna be some good gourmet shit right here. Like he's really getting intrigued by Light. He's like, this is going
Well,
so much better than I could possibly have fathomed.
well,
Yeah.
you almost get the implication that Ryuk thought it would just be like some like random petty asshole that would like pick up the
Yeah.
Death Note, fuck around a bit, and get caught. And I was like,
Mhm.
this guy is different. This guy is like,
Yeah.
This guy's got
there's
like
some
big
meat on these
plans, and
bones.
Because
yeah,
he
he's got like
actually
big plans, and like I think he might be able to
I
pull it off,
was
the crazy bastard.
I don't remember what scene it was, but I was actually surprised because it's the only time where Ryuk compliments Light. He says like you're the best person that could have possibly picked up the Death Note, and it's just because of
He's
how entertaining Light is to him.
yeah, he's literally just like, fuck, like I'm actually enjoying my time with this human. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty fucking crazy. Like I didn't expect that. Like he's like when he says like I don't have a rooting interest here, he's like technically telling the truth, but like in episode 3, like when he gives him that information, it's not just because he's creeped out. I mean, we'll get to that more in another stream, but like he is like low key rooting for Light, even though he says he's not, right? Just not because he like thinks Light is right about anything or anything like that. He just like, no, I think that would be the most interesting outcome. So like I'll give him a nudge here and there to help him along, but I ain't getting like I ain't doing his bidding for him kind of thing. Um but like he's basically when you watch like a football game, right? He just wants the most interesting outcome. He doesn't care who wins. He just wants there to be a hell of a game. And
Yeah.
he doesn't want the game to end early. Like he doesn't want it to be
Yeah.
a blowout. That's why he's
Right.
gonna, especially earlier in the show, give a Light some kind of nudges here and there and on how to help him out. But yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's kind of the referee. He's willing to like tell you the rules.
Well, but yeah, but the thing with the guy sneaking up on him, right? That like that wasn't a rule thing. He just helped him out there, partially because he probably was earnestly creeped
Yeah,
out. That seems to be in line with Ryuk's character. But I think part of it is that he didn't want the game to end early, so he was kind of like, you know what? I'll help him out just this once, kind of thing.
I think it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's both. I think Reek was generally like, I don't fucking like being watched.
Mhm.
I know he can't see me, but I don't like being watched.
Yeah, like I said, that's totally in character. I believe he was telling the truth there, but I think he was telling a little white lie. Like he doesn't like
Yeah.
care what happens. He does to an extent. Like he doesn't care if Light succeeds with his goal or not. He just doesn't want him to get caught. Like
I
just as
I
things are
I
getting interesting.
I think it is very much a oh shit, things are also getting interesting. I don't want it to just end because of like some
Exactly. Yeah.
like minor
Some
thing. So
rando that Light didn't expect. Yeah.
and you know, I also just hate this guy following us anyway. So
Mhm.
let me see if I can drop a little bit of info.
Yeah. And there'll be little moments like that throughout the show, but for the most part, he does just watch and laugh.
Yeah, because if Ryuk was a like just a an observer without like interest, he'd also just like ate an apple
Mhm.
and revealed like the whole thing when they were being watched. You know.
He
Yeah.
also would have told Light probably right away rather than observing him first, because he just wanted to kind of gauge who Light was, right? Like if he didn't have a vested interest in how things were going to play out, he'd just be
We
like, "All right," like genie style, like you have summoned me. This is how this works, kind of thing.
but
Yeah.
we're skipping
Um,
ahead. It's
yeah,
time to
yeah.
talk about episode 2,
Oh,
so we
there's
can
still a
get
good
done with.
amount. All right, I'll just
Okay.
blitz through this. Yeah,
Wait. Yeah, let's blitz through it. Yeah,
yeah.
because
So Light.
episode 1 is too dense.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's just yeah. I'll just blitz through it. Light informs Ryuk that he's been doing all this because he's been bored too. Light reflects upon his reactions to killing two people, which would feel more appropriate if Light wasn't so flippant about potentially killing his classmate earlier. However, since it was only a brief moment, a moment of doubt, it's still in character. Light was already an antisocial personality, so it didn't take much for the Death Note to push him over the edge. He convinces himself that he would be doing this for the greater good, even if it cost him his mind and soul. Utilitarianism pushed to the extreme. Light gaslights himself into believing he's the only one who could possibly take on this great burden, and so he sets out on a path to change the world into a utopia of his envisioning. He started with the worst criminals he could find. Ryuk points out that if Light achieves his dream of world without evil people, that he would be the only bad person left. That is a very interesting line. What do you guys think about that?
Wait, what was the
Well,
line?
you also have to remember what Light's response is, because
What?
that's
Yeah.
supposed
So
to
Wait.
to which
be
do
interesting.
you want me to say the response now, or do you want to say
What was the
something
line
first?
again?
I think we could talk about the other implications and then talk about the response.
Okay. So what do you have to say about that, Lulu?
What?
He says if you achieve your utopia of there being no evil people left in the world, you would be the only bad person left. What Ryuk says to him.
Oh, I love that line because it's
Yeah, it's a
true.
really good
It's
line.
literally true.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
literally, you know what's funny? What's his name? Light acknowledges that in the first, um, like at the beginning of the episode where he's like, "Well, shit, guess I'm a murderer," but his
Yeah, which
ego,
that kind of goes out the window as he
yeah,
starts to like hype himself up more.
yeah. When
And
we
so
see his
I'll
ego grow, and
Mhm.
then Ryuk literally say that to him, like, "Yeah, dude, like you are a murderer." And then
Yeah.
he was like kind of offended. He was like, "Oh, I'm a murderer." So yeah,
What the Rangi point out, it is a funny response. Know what his response to that is, Lulu? He
what?
says, "I'm a hardworking honor student who's considered to be one of Japan's best and brightest."
Yeah.
That's his response. It's just
That's
like,
all
Yeah,
you
yeah.
need to know.
So
That's all. Yeah, that says everything.
this is the thing. It's like I think that the clear just answer to that is no. Light doesn't agree that he's a bad person.
like he's just like, no, I'm a good honor student. Like,
Yeah.
because like he
Well,
thinks he's like he
he
thinks
leans
adding value
on
to society is what matters rather than like because he's a
yeah
utilitarian rather than like your classic deolont 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 I can't ever say the word
the
deontological.
ontological.
Yeah. That's the moral people typically use, right? It's just kind of like you're
Yeah.
just kind of innate
It's
what's
I
right
have
and wrong.
this set of values, and that's
Yeah,
the values
exactly.
that
And
get shaped
most of these
by.
values are universal, shared across all societies for the most
Mm,
part. Utilitarianism, on the flip side, is what creates the most good, and how you get there doesn't really matter. So, light is definitely a utilitarianist. You need both because utilitarians are more practical. However, like you can lose your soul if you just like the road to hell is paved with good intentions is kind of summing up utilitarianism in a nutshell. So Ryuk finds light fascinating, and also after he says that line, the next line he says is that one day he will become the god of this new world, which is like what Lulu was saying. It's going to his head, like it's already
Yeah,
gotten there. Um, but then the episode ends with Light staring out into the heavens, which is kind of like a good like thematic imagery closing. It's just like Light now wants to become the god in this new world, and he's like kind of envisioning his utopia in the clouds. And then the outro, I said the outro is a bit underwhelming compared to the intro. And then I wrote,
uh,
the intro goes hard as fuck, but the outro leaves a lot to be desired. I wonder what this could possibly be symbolic of, which I think Rangi, you'll get that joke.
I need to
What
rewatch the
joke?
intro and the outro because I
I
literally
said the
forgot what they
intro
are.
goes hard as hell. I said the intro goes hard as fuck, but the outro leaves a lot to be
Oh
desired.
yeah,
I
yes.
wonder what this could possibly
This
be
is a
symbolic of.
regular figure anime.
Well, no, but I was
Oh,
saying
by
this
the
kind of
way,
sums up the show as a whole. Like it starts off really good, but then kind of peters out,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
is
But also that's a normal trend in anime. One of the jokes about anime intros, a lot of time you get like the anime intro that's trying to like hype you up for all the action. Then you get like the anime outros just like this like kind of low key affair.
so I
That's
just want to
very normal.
yeah, I've noticed that in a lot of anime as well. I just want to start off with a quote, and then you guys can kind of take it from there because I do have to use the restroom. I'm gonna grab another beer, but the first line of this
where?
episode also very thematically relevant. Having finally made his dream a reality, he was overwhelmed both by the magnitude of his achievement and by the joy and happiness that it brought him. So like, there's a lot of foreshadowing there. It's gonna be relevant to to light, but
Right.
yeah. So on that note, I'm going to
Yeah,
use the restroom,
and
grab a drink. Yeah, you can.
I think we're also ready to move on to the second episode, which will probably
know
be the
that.
last
Bruh,
episode of
I
the.
had the
I
I had the little episode
Frankie, that
2
was the first
thing.
line of the second episode. Why do you think I said it?
I had
Yep.
the little sign for episode 2 on for the past like 20 minutes because I thought we were moving on, and then
Oh,
Iron was like, "Oh no, let's just talk about the ending of the first episode." I was like, "Uh-oh, I probably should have not changed the sign."
it's
People probably thought we were
it
talking
is
about
what it is.
episode 2 when we weren't.
Well, now there's a
Sorry, chat.
clarification.
Sorry, chat.
Well, I guess Rangi was you confused Rangi too because I just said that was the quote this kick off the episode, and Rangi's like, "Ah, we should go to episode 2 now." I'm like, what do you think the quote was for? Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Iron proceeds to ruin scheduling and preparation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm a monkey wrench into the toolbox. That's for sure.
This is true. This is why we should shoot you into the sun.
What? Damn.
Look, we just have to get the Death Note and write that Iron
fate-
flies off into the sky, into the sun. And
Yeah.
they'll just have a heart attack because
A
that's
fate
what's
worse
involved.
than death. Yeah, I'll have a heart attack on the way to the sun. Yeah. Anyways, so the second episode. Wait, this is a recap, I think. Oh, he's in school. And oh yeah, that was the joke I was making earlier. He's in school, and Ryuk is just like watching him and like following him around, and he looks so
Eh.
silly. And
Yes,
Ryuk's like,
they take advantage of the fact that nobody can see Ryuk, and so it just makes any scene with him really funny and entertaining.
yeah, Ryuk is
And
Ryuk's like, how do you do this every day? It's so boring. And then they like walk outside, and then Light's like, dude, like don't fucking talk to me. How many times I gotta tell you this? Don't talk to me now in public. Yeah, it's really funny. And then see, this is why we should have Iron doing the story beats,
yeah,
because I'm not very good at it.
so yeah, and I wasn't prepared to do it, so let me.
I just have the episode pulled up. I'm like skipping through it.
Yeah, that's usually what I do.
So we're introduced to his little sister. I don't know her name. I don't know if it's even, is her name even said?
Like I said, her name is said. I'm pretty sure at some point, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, okay, let me.
Right, you.
Yeah, but basically we do get this is the interesting thing too, because this is a thing a lot of anime has a problem with. A lot of time they'll have like, oh, nobody can see me, don't worry, and so the character just continues to talk to thin air, and I'm just like, and I've always been like, no, people can see that you're talking to thin air.
Yeah, true.
And the show kind of acknowledges it because it's like, yeah, obviously Ryuk, Ryuk can talk without anyone noticing, but
Yeah.
but Light is gonna be different about that.
Yeah, I think it's
and
kind of funny that's
yeah,
with the sister. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
well, without that, we also get the scene of Light's kind of this is kind of an important thing, because it's kind of Light's daily routine after getting the note, which is kind of, he's still doing all the stuff he was doing before. It's very like, it's school, and it's like homework and cram school, and then he has like the news going
right
as he's like, yeah, as he's doing that.
Does there become a point where, I don't think you necessarily have to spoil this, but I'm assuming it's gonna happen, where he becomes so obsessed that he like ditches school and like stops talking to his family and stuff like that? Or does he try to maintain his like appearance like pretty much throughout the show?
Well, he graduates from school, from high school.
Oh,
In
okay. So
the show, pretty
time
early.
passes. Like,
Yeah, time
okay,
passes.
okay.
What part of that?
This is one of those shows that takes place over a decently long period of time.
Right. I figured.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say it's decently long, but it's not short. I mean, like probably the whole thing's
Yeah.
over a couple years, right?
Yeah.
Well, because Light starts like uni and stuff. As far as the family stuff, that's difficult to explain,
Okay.
and there's
what?
reasons for that I don't think you know yet.
No.
Where I have no idea where we are at. What's
Um.
the
Where
fucking?
we are at. It's still in the beginning of the episode. It's It's Light at his desk. After the classroom scene and the school scenes.
I
Yep.
Yeah. Did you guys talk about how Ryuk finds school boring? I thought that was
Yep.
funny.
I
Yes,
joked about that.
he does.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because
Um,
obviously he would. He came down here for like entertainment.
Yeah.
yeah, and like not to say that school can't be entertaining, but like Japanese school is not uh notorious for being entertainment. It's pretty rigorous and uh it's like by the book. Like
Yeah.
it's not gonna be like you're like your kooky college teacher let's do this for the day. Let's throw the book out the window and you know what I mean, like the cliche in like those college movies, or like what's the joke where they like, oh never mind, no more tangents. um what part are we at? Sorry, I just
Um.
completely like
Oh, we were
malfunctioned.
talking about his sister, how she's introduced, and then
Oh, because she says it's weird the door's locked, right?
yeah. Um. Ryuk actually warns him, saying like, "Don't let her see the book," and then he later, I think he teases him, saying like teases him about helping his sister with like her homework or whatever. Um, and I don't know. I think it's cute that like, um,
We also do get Light talking to Ryuk and like establishing, because Light is like Ryuk is talking about like the whole school thing, and Light is like, yeah, I only have between when I get home from school and like cram school, basically.
oh
Like
right, yeah,
basically, he has to fit in time to do the names, right names.
yeah,
Which is a plot point in episode 3.
It is, yes, yes. If it weren't for this fact, Elle would just have nothing to go off of.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, other than the fact that he's in the Kanto region of Japan, which is still very good, but like that's a lot of people in the Kanto region. It's the most
Uh,
populous part of
well, no,
Japan.
no, well, yeah, and even then, a lot of yeah, but yes, the sister gets tutored, and this is the other thing. It's kind of established. Yeah, Light still has like a decent relationship with his family.
yeah,
But
Mhm.
I also, what I find funny is it feels like Ryuk saves that detail until like the worst possible time to mention it.
Well, he does that on purpose. He
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
withholds
fucking with him.
information,
yep.
yeah, to fuck with him and to like make
Cause
it more interesting. Like
me and
he
Iron,
piecemeals him information. Yep.
yeah,
Oh
me and
no,
Iron
no.
talked about that.
Even within the scene though, he literally waits until the little sister sits at his desk.
Mhm.
Yeah, but no,
That's what I mean.
whenever he
Yeah.
finds out information that Light doesn't know, he giggles and then he like gets, yeah, like me and Iron
Yeah.
talked about it. He gets excited. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
gets like a big grin. He's like, "Ooh, I can fuck with him. This will be fun."
Yeah.
yeah, right. Even just like, oh, he's not gonna know.
He's like, I'm about to knock his socks off with this one. This will be a banger.
Yeah.
But so anything you wanna move on to the ICPO, or do you wanna keep talking about the him and his sister? I'm good either way.
Um, I don't know. There's not really much going on in that scene other than
Yeah,
we see that
yeah.
he does still care about his family. I think that was the only important thing.
There, and the one thing I was gonna add there, it's like it is speculative whether how much of it is a front versus how much he actually cares, right? Like
Yeah.
that's how he acted before he got the death note, so he has to maintain um uh appearances, right? But
Yeah.
like I think it is a fair assessment to say he probably still does care about him, but like at the same time, it's like you wonder how much is coming from a good place and how much it's coming from a selfish place. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Um. Anyway, at the ICPO, Delegate One informs us that there has been 52 deaths that they are aware of in the past week that involved a heart attack. They were all criminals who were either already in prison or were wanted by the police. They were debating about how many things at the meeting. Oh, they're debating many things at the meeting, such as is a necessarily a bad thing, which is understandable. Like if it's only criminals dying, like easier, it makes their lives easier. And
Well,
uh,
it's interesting too because you also have actual characters establishing like, no, if there is something doing this, it's still murder. Murder is murder.
yeah,
Doesn't matter if
that's
it's a
like
criminal.
Yeah.
yeah, that's like part of the arguments people are having. And then um, who was responsible? Like some people think it's the FBI or CIA, which is not a bad guess.
Really
When
funny.
bad things happen,
Yeah.
usually it's like the Harry Potter meme. It's like when something terrible happens, why is it always you three? It's like the ATF, FBI, and CIA.
Yep.
uh, yeah.
Um.
Since they all cannot agree on anything, they decide to bring in L.
Yep. And I
No,
love
actually,
how.
Watari just shows up.
Oh no, he does, but that's because
Oh, that's his name.
yeah, well, Rangi, they decide to bring an L, but the thing is, that's the like kind of the twist is L already brought himself. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. They're talking about reaching out to L.
yeah,
Because he is the guy. He is that
Yeah.
guy.
he's that guy. He's never not solved the case. The only
Yeah.
downside of L is he's very selective because he only
Yeah,
picks cases that he's interested in.
Yeah.
it's also just really funny and interesting that L was already on this case.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it's like they're like, all right, we should probably reach out to L, and L's like, yeah, bozos, I'm already 3 steps ahead of you.
And
Yeah,
I
like I
love.
said, it's really funny. It's like, well, we should reach out to L. How do we contact him? Hey, Watery's walking up. What?
Yeah. Because Watery's the only person who knows who L actually is. That's like
Yep.
the only person on the planet who knows L's true identity.
Yeah.
Um, so they don't know what L's real name nor what he looks like. I wonder how that's gonna play into the story. It's almost like he's the perfect person to foil Light.
Yep. No, I find it
Yep.
interesting that as soon as L's name is mentioned, everyone in the room just looks super uncomfortable because I couldn't tell if they're either scared of L or they're just like, oh, not this fucking guy. Like they just like don't
Probably a
like
bit of
him.
both.
Well,
Uh,
this is like a international like law enforcement conference or something like that,
Yeah,
isn't it?
right.
It's like the UN for cops essentially.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I feel like there is gonna be a little bit of an uncomfortable thing about because L isn't like an official like agent of anyone. There's no one he answers to. He's just
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
he's a
guy.
third.
He is
Yeah, he's a third party last resort card. No, I mean like you don't
yeah.
play L if you
He's
have
he,
to.
he he's Sherlock Holmes basically.
Yeah.
Oh,
I figured.
he's no, because Sherlock Holmes is even more comfortable because at least you know what he looks like and you know his name, right? Like
Yeah.
this is just some mysterious entity that and like you don't even know his real voice either. It's just like some computer voice just like telling you commands and you just gotta take it.
Yeah.
At least with Sherlock
Yeah.
Holmes, there's like a face to the person and
It
like you
it, it
tangibly
it also plays into kind of
hold them
the
accountable.
yeah the I don't know if you guys ever watch like police procedurals, but the kind of trope of like, oh my god, this guy outside the apartment is like involved in the case. Who the fuck is this guy? That kind of like trope where it's like
Also,
it's very departmental. What's the word I'm looking
Rangi,
for?
doesn't Sherlock Holmes answer to Scotland Yard as well? Pretty sure
No,
he
he
does.
doesn't. He's a private. He's a private consultant.
Okay, but I mean, there's still like he would face repercussions if he did something illegal, whereas L wouldn't.
Yeah.
Well, Sherlock.
If he gets
Sherlock
caught
still.
doing something illegal,
Sherlock still works
Well,
for
yeah, because
people.
Sherlock Holmes
Like,
is yeah.
you can hire Sherlock. You can't hire L.
Yeah.
Well, you can
because
hire
Al is
L. He just
super selective.
he's like the Supreme Court. He just chooses whether he'll take it on or
L
not.
hires himself. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is,
Not
so it's
necessarily. I mean,
established
sometimes
in
yes, but
it's
you
established
can
in the
reach out to
Sherlock
L.
book.
Yeah.
Sherlock doesn't take every case, or if he does, most of his cases are actually just solved through correspondence. Basically, he doesn't even like directly get involved. He just like, okay, you said this, this, and this. Okay, this is the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So L has solved every case he's ever taken on, including some of the world's toughest cases and greatest mysteries. L is their trump card. However, he only takes cases that personally interest him. Mysterious Man informs the council that L has already begun his investigation. Mysterious Man turns out to be Watery, the only person who can contact L. And then, so yeah, we went over all that already. Here's a little tidbit. I think the L logo is kind of like the author's take on the bat signal. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
Kinda.
I just kind of think there's like similar vibes. It's like its logo. It's like a beacon kind of. What do you think, Ryan? You think there's any inspiration there?
Inspiration between what?
I think the L logo kind of reminds me of the bat signal.
To an extent, I think there is definitely Sherlock Holmes inspiration for L.
Well, but also I think there's some Batman inspiration too.
I was gonna say I can understand some Batman especially given Watery. Watery is basically Alfred.
Yeah, Watery's Alfred, and then yeah, which I didn't even make that connection, but yeah, that tracks. And then he lives like the dual like life secret. He has a secret alter ego. Like Sherlock Holmes is Sherlock Holmes, right? He doesn't have a secret identity where Batman does, and like L is his Batman persona. It's like he's like a third party that they don't even know that his real identity. He's basically like kind of a vigilante, like not in the same way Batman is, but just like that he doesn't answer to anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's not actually he doesn't actually answer to any like established authority. He's just like he is a rogue agent.
Oh my god, you know what it is? L is if the Zodiac was a good person.
I've never seen that. So.
No, like the Zodiac killer, like there is a real guy. But yeah, there was a movie about it.
But yeah, let's talk about the scene itself, because L does give information regarding when he comes in.
So he speaks in a voice disorder, so they don't know what he sounds like. Man is extremely thorough. L's first line is "Greetings to all of you at the ICPO. I am L." So not really anything thematic there, but just kind of establishing who he is.
Yeah.
Light is still concerned about his family. Why did I put that there? That's weird. Did it cut back to Light?
They do cut back to Light, yes.
Okay.
This is when Light is putting together his like failsafe stuff.
Oh, the desk. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some stuff Ryan I keep like almost wanting to say, but like you just we'll get there when we get there. Upon first watch, but nope. You have to keep skipping all this stuff. L concludes that this is indeed mass murder on an unprecedented scale. But yeah, the Light thing was just kind of he's building the contraption.
They're just setting up what he's doing. Yeah.
L demands the full cooperation of the ICPO, in particular that of the Japanese, because he has a hunch that the person is Japanese, which will be confirmed in the end of this episode, right?
I think it also makes sense because a lot of the initial criminals are probably going to be Japanese criminals, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think the majority of them are. Like, he's killing people all over the world, but since it's an access to information thing, he's the most familiar and has the most readily available Japanese criminals to him. So because like they'll put that on like the local news and stuff. It's kind of hard to get local news of like other countries.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like
Well, even if you do, for example, like Japan, if you guys and I watched the Japanese news, I don't think we'd understand a jack shit
well,
about like what's
well,
going on.
Light speaks English, so that already gives him a huge advantage.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But
Um,
like that's what I mean. It's like, uh, if Light was like an English speaker, I feel like it would be much harder to track him down to like a specific region.
well, he is an English speaker. Or are you saying native
No,
speaker?
I mean like that as his first language. You know, like
Yeah,
if
so
he was an
native speaker. Yeah,
American.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because like obviously he needs to know English because the book was written in English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny because in the actual Japanese thing, it's like it'd be translating into Japanese because like even in the like the manga and anime images, it's in English on the screen instead of Japanese, which is kind of cool
Yep.
Hmm.
because obviously it's like it's good world building, right? It makes a lot more sense that like something supernatural would be in English rather than Japanese.
Yeah,
Um,
it is interesting to
I
me too
guess.
because
Yeah.
at this point, Light just says that basically this is a theory he has. Like, I feel like it, or not Light L, says this is a theory he has. He says, I can show you very soon by directly confronting the culprit." It's like he hasn't confirmed this. He just has a
well,
very
he has some
strong theory.
hypothesis and he's about to test
Yeah.
it, and it's about to
Yep.
go better than he could have even hoped. Which he'll say that
Yeah.
later. But yeah, Detective Yagami. Doesn't that name sound familiar? So like, I didn't put that together on first watch because I wasn't like paying super close attention. But like,
Has that revealed
um,
uh the episodes yet? I
I
actually
already
can't remember if
I
that
already knew about
reveals
that reveal
yet.
going in, so it wasn't a shock to
well,
Oh
I
me.
yeah,
mean,
you would have. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's in the
yeah,
movie.
but because in episode 3 is when you get the official reveal, but like you get Light's name at some point
Yeah.
in the first episode, right? Like,
His last name.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do.
yeah, so like I think it's one of those subtle things where like they don't make a big
You're
deal about his
rewarded for
name.
paying attention.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. So I'm like, I could have sworn they said Light Yagami at some point. Um, but yeah, so it's Detective Yagami, and also that might just be like a common Japanese name, right? Like if it was like Light Smith and then Detective Smith, I wouldn't have assumed that they were related. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so like if you were paying attention, it's like, huh. I wonder where what we're gonna do with that here. That could be interesting if it's the
I do
related
like
and
that they use that though, like that thing where it's like, oh well, in this show we don't believe in coincidences, and so
Mhm.
that's why it works because you're like, oh, based on what I've seen so far, like this show uh doesn't believe in
Yeah,
coincidences, and if they both have the same name, like, oh, and then episode 3, like
yeah.
he comes home and you see him, so yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a very
Yeah.
good point there. That the show, like L, like anytime he sees a coincidence, he's like, I don't buy that. It's like
Yeah.
I think there's something there. He does that all the time. L suspects that the party or individual responsible for the mass killing is Japanese, and even if they aren't Japanese, he suspects they're hiding somewhere in Japan based off of the evidence. They
Yeah.
ask why he thinks they're in Japan, and L responds, "You will know after I confront them." Because this kind of goes to
Damn.
show that like their relationship isn't the best. He's kind of a bit confrontational and secretive with the police, which is something
Yeah.
Light exploits in episode 3.
Yep.
Um, and then L
Well,
requests to set the team up in Japan.
it's
Yeah,
interesting too because this is kind of a bit of a gambit for L. Like he probably does have strong suspicion, and I imagine what we mentioned about the news. I think that's a safer like assumption to make that it's probably because of the victims and like when they would appear on the news.
well,
But
yeah, I'm pretty sure
it,
Light confirms that later, but like even then, that's still like you could probably find that information out if you really dug on the internet, right? This is the
yeah,
age of the internet, so it's like he concludes it's most likely because that's what would be readily available, and like it
yeah.
wouldn't it wouldn't unless the culprit was going out of his way to like try and look like he's somewhere he's not. it would most likely be someone in Japan.
Yep, and like, also do have to wonder if L doesn't know how much information is gonna leak, and that might be another reason why he's like being selective. Because I don't think he has
Oh, for sure.
reason to suspect, but just in general, like there could be a journalist like
Yeah,
hidden among
his
his.
whole thing is he's overly cautious. Like as
Yeah,
cautious and mechanical as cautious and mechanical as Light is, L's even more, right? So like it's kind of
Yeah.
like another level. There's always like another level kind of thing.
Mhm.
Well, also, there's already people kind of believing there's some kind of like intelligence behind this outside of just the police. So, like, if
Yeah.
it would even be like expected for a journalist to like sneak into this event, this
Yeah, I
thing.
mean it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I would.
So, I mean, it would be hard because it's just like a pretty private event. It's not impossible, but like I wouldn't imagine it would be easy to get in there. Yeah,
Yeah, just in
it's
general, even
literally it's
outside of that, yeah,
Frankie,
information can leak.
now that I think about it, it would basically be a journalist trying to sneak into a room full of the world's best detectives. That's not going to go over
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, but even then, the word can leak. There's
Yeah, I agree. It's just funny that'd be like the worst possible place for someone to try to sneak into, like a room full of like people who do this for a living, finding out things that shouldn't be as they are, right? They like their
That's
bullshit
true.
radar would go off and go off immediately.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so L prepared a secret drawer. Wait, I wrote L. Light.
Light, yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of the annoying thing. It's like
Yeah,
they
L and Light.
the
They're both
creator
L's.
liked his L names.
Mm-hmm. He probably did that intentionally to show
Yeah,
the similarities between Light and L because they're like two sides of the same coin and all that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. We get the description of the drawer and how it works.
yeah. Do you want to go over that, or do you want to just kind of like skim over it?
I think we can quickly gloss over it. Basically, he has a fake diary that he's keeping, and then he has a false bottom to the drawer, and there's a setup so that if somebody tried to force the false bottom, it would without taking the right precaution, which was, I believe it was a pen through a hole in the bottom of the drawer to like break
To
the
unlock it.
current.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Then if somebody didn't do that, it would start a fire. And Light's justification is, yeah, I'd rather have a small house fire than be caught, convicted, and executed, which is what would happen. I don't know if
Yeah,
he'd
that
be
makes.
executed, but best case scenario, he's life in
Oh no,
prison.
no, I mean, he killed on an unprecedented scale. If he ever got caught, he would certainly face the death penalty. He's killed thousands of people.
True, and probably foreign nationals too. Actually, when I think
Yeah,
about it.
he'd be the most. Um, I mean, he's for a non-war crime, it would have been the most heinous act ever committed. So, yeah, he would certainly have been executed.
Yeah,
Especially since this.
Sorry.
it's just a case of like his case scenario is like he'd be living in a cell for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Which
I
His most likely is execution. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's his best case scenario is a painless death. Like there would probably be certain countries that want to torture him. Um,
I
that
But
was why I
yeah,
mean
but
That's why Hitler killed himself, so the Russians wouldn't torture him to death. But
I think that's what makes shows like Dexter and Breaking Bad so interesting though, because you have this main character that is self-aware, like they know they're too far gone and they like think about it. They're like, "Oh, would I rather spend the rest of my life in a prison cell um or the death sentence or kill myself on my own terms?" And we, if you've seen both those shows, you know how the that plays out. And this is kind of another thing. I feel like it's foreshadowing. Obviously, I don't know what happens, but Light is already thinking about that, where he's like, would I rather get caught and get executed, get caught and go to prison, or die on my own terms and how I want? And
well,
so
also it's also to prevent that because if there's no evidence, they can't convict him. So it's like
that too,
worst case
yeah.
scenario. Worst case scenario is he can't kill anyone else. That's like his dream. Basically, the worst case scenario is his dream dies prematurely, but
Yeah.
he doesn't die. So it's like, well, it's like the worst case scenario is just my little experiment ends prematurely. It's I can live with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Ryuk has said that finding a place to hide the Death Note was one of the most challenging tasks for any Death Note wielder in the past, but none of them have ever put nearly as much thought into the matter as he has. Like this is like I'm assuming what most people probably did in the past was like put it under a rock or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ryuk thinks it sounds risky, to which Light responds that this whole ordeal has been a huge risk, and that a little house fire doesn't seem like that bad of a deal compared to execution. So like I think
Yeah.
one of you said that already, but yeah. And then Death Note title card number 3. The cause of death is written within 40 seconds of writing the person's name. It will happen if the cause of death is not specialized. The person will simply die of a heart attack. Death title card number 4. Writing the cause of death. Details of death should be written in the next 6 minutes or 40 seconds. So again, information we already know is just refreshing viewer.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and then random. This is the next scene's fun when like all the people are like gossiping about Kira, like on in the city,
Right.
Yep, and
and like
Because someone
also
notes.
you get Light's mentality on it and things
oh
like that.
the one
Yeah.
thing that always cracks me up is that there's like this cute little anime girl that's like just texting when you would assume is her friend, but then it's like Kira kill everyone in all caps. I'm like, whoa, that's like not what you would expect from that person. Like it's like this like innocent looking little girl, and she's like, kill everyone.
Oh, that's what it says. There was no subtitles, so I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it said Kira kill everyone.
Um.
And then the website
Yeah,
is
because
the
they don't
Legend of Kira
provide
the Savior.
subtitles for it.
Oh no, but I like
The Legend
the
of Kira the
before
Savior.
it shows the girl. There's someone on the street that says, "I think the police are behind it," and then like his friend says, "No, no, the police like don't have that much power. They couldn't." And so they like debate about it, and then yeah, we get to see the website.
Yep,
Or
yeah.
the
The website that's kind of a that's an interesting thing because this was kind of like when the internet was starting to get like popular and everything that the manga was written. Like obviously it had been around for a while, but like it's what the mid 2000s, so that would be like a thing.
yeah, 2003. The
I
manga
like
was written.
yeah, because I was big into like forum culture, which a lot of that did like happen in like the early and mid 2000s.
Right.
Uh,
Iron.
yeah. He says
He's
that
dead.
he wants to express that he has in fact become incredibly gay. He loves both of us, and he wants to give me all of his possessions and money.
Yeah,
What?
he's giving me his channel. Hi,
In other
Iron.
news, I just wrote his name into the Death Note to have him say that. So,
He had a heart attack.
Oh, did I? Sorry, I was texting someone. Did I miss something?
oh, you got murdered. Don't worry about it.
So
Damn.
the
Was
website
I?
is when we
I was
see.
found out as the imposter.
Yeah.
No. I just wrote your name into the Death Note. I mean,
I got 40 seconds to live.
Yep.
no. It was one of the conditional ones. Look,
Mm.
you'll make a will tomorrow. Write me all of your possessions and money, and then you'll get hit by a bus while in the lawyer's office. But after it's been filed, weird that.
Um. So the website's where we see like them officially name him Kira, which he says Kira seems to come from the English word killer. Is that like actually where the word comes from, or is that just what they made up for the
I'm pretty sure that's where it
show?
actually comes from. Like
Okay.
Yeah,
Kira.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's
Yeah.
like it's kind of like because it's like kind of like a language transitional thing because this is like a Japanese blog, but it's like like Japanese people, like it's the same way how we sometimes like use like for fantasy like other languages and just like tweak the word, right? But, like
Yeah.
it's kind of like the reverse of that.
Google.
My
Oh,
favorite.
interesting. Google
My
says,
favorite there is I'm a big fan of Warhammer Fantasy, and one of the countries in Warhammer Fantasy is literally called Araby.
Google says one of the alternate meanings of Kira is a ruler of people.
Oh, okay, so it's
I guess that's
thematic
like
too.
the Russian
That can't be
translation,
accidental.
but I
That
wouldn't
can't be
think so.
accidental.
Um,
I think the author did that on purpose, but it also it kind of makes sense with what Iron said too, and I think that's the implication is that's why it's chosen. But yeah, either way, uh, uh it's one of those things where the other thing is there is a trend in Japanese culture that I've noticed. Sometimes Japanese people just like to use random Western words, and yeah, it could be an accent thing, a translation between the languages where it's like a mispronunciation that's like become popular anyway.
right.
And I imagine both people would be like, "Oh, okay, well, I know what you're talking about now, so that's functional. We'll call him Kira."
Yeah.
Um. So and then this is where Light's ego um really goes to his head because now he has like an actual cult fan base.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
and I think that having this before you have the rest of the episode is important. Having him like
yeah,
see all this.
Right.
Yeah, because then immediately after this and him seeing all of the internet posting and talking about like how people will talk about things anonymously versus like what they'd say. Oh, and this is the other thing. Don't we get we also get another like image of that one girl, the anime girl, as you said called her.
yeah.
Uh,
Um, and then Light is convinced that people are only concerned about him being politically correct and maintaining appearances in public, but in private, people's thoughts on the matters are much different, which is true to a
which is
degree.
true to an
Yeah.
extent, yeah.
Yeah,
There are
but
gonna be
although probably
people
not
like
to the
that.
extent that Light predicts, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like I don't
people.
say nearly as many racial slurs online.
Online.
I have to
I
keep
thought you were
up
gonna
a
say real life. I think you meant say in real life,
Well,
but okay.
that was the that was
No,
the
no,
joke.
no, that was the joke.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Silly Lulu. One day,
Come on,
one
I
day
have.
you'll get adult humor. Yeah.
I
So
was
Light.
wondering if you'd pick up on that though.
Yeah. So yeah, we're I think we could probably finish within the next 20 minutes. There's not too much more to talk about in the second episode.
We could.
Light's gloating about how perfect his plan is. His going is interrupted by an emergency broadcast. L claims he will hunt down Kira and catch him Liam Neeson style. I will find you and I will capture you. So Liam Neeson was a bit meaner in his phone call. And then L calls Kira evil, which this causes Kira to like kind of or Light to kind of like flip out a bit. He's like, he just like starts like making noises, and then he's like, "All right, we'll play this game." And Light proclaims that he's justice and the protector of the innocent. He's like, as he says that, he's writing down a death warrant for the guy on the TV.
Yep.
Um, so there's a little bit of a kind of like juxtaposition of like how he sees himself and then what he's actually doing. And
Right.
then he once again states that he'll become the god of the new world. And then Kira kills L and laughs maniacally, as any good, sane, rational person does.
It's interesting though. Wait, it's interesting though because he also highlights, "Oh, it's a shame you were just so stupid because this could have been interesting." It's so
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah.
yes, it is. Yeah, he's almost his ego is like fully like to his head, and then it's like he's like, "Yeah, I killed you," and then it's just like he gets that moment after the death where it's like,
What this reminds me
"Oh,
of, in the Batman, where Penguin's like, "I got you, you son of a bitch! I got you!" And then
Yeah.
the Batman comes out through the flames. He's like, "Oh fuck!"
True.
yep."
Yeah. So Akira kills L, quotation marks L, and his little like Squidward victory celebration gets interrupted by yet another broadcast, and L reveals his real self, Kira, and he taunts Kira for thinking that he'd be like done with L. He's like, "Oh, we're just getting started here, kiddo." He's like, "You
Yeah.
want to play this game?" He's like, "I know you're in the." He's like, "I know something about you." He's like, "You're in the Kanto region," and Light's like, "Okay, okay." You want to play this game? I accept. Let's do this thing. He's like, I'm gonna beat you. And then Ryuk observes that Light and L must hunt each other down without knowing the other person's name or face, and the first one to have their identity discovered by the other will die. That's like the stakes are like crazy high, and like
Yep.
it's like where do you even start? Like it's like two people who know virtually nothing about the other person must find and hunt and kill the other person, and the
Yeah.
whole world is their globe. Well, I guess the Kanto region, which is still a pretty big arena.
Yeah.
And then Ryuk said, like, humans are so fun, which is kind of like a recoloring of his humans are so interesting statement.
Yeah.
And then the episode ends with L and Light both pledging to find and eliminating the other one. And then they both say, they pull a little Batman and they're like, I am justice. And then the episode
But
ends.
yeah, and it's interesting with all of this stuff. There's so much you can actually talk about. Like just this scene, this because this is probably one of my favorite scenes in the show. The 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 taunting of Kira into killing the guy on the TV.
Yeah.
They like you. I think it helps you give that. It gives them that moment of like feeling the victory, and then L comes on the screen, and he's just like, oh wow, you actually that I didn't think this was actually a thing. I had a theory, but I didn't think it was actually possible. But yeah, you
Yeah.
can kill remotely. Shit.
And
And
you
it's
can
like, yeah, you get to
he's like
reveal an explanation for
he's
why
like
he did it the way.
he's like low-key impressed. He's like,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
he's like, oh, this is like, he's like, oh, I've never had a case like this. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
but
He's like,
Yeah.
not only is he impressed, but Elle is also gloating.
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
He's taking. That's why he's explaining his like what he did and how it revealed more to Kira. Because he is gloating. He's taking his victory life. He's like, yeah, but Kira, you doing this to reveal this, this, and this to me.
Well, that's
Yeah.
a common thing throughout the show is they both feel the need to show off to the other, which a lot of times puts them in a more perilous situation because they can't help themselves. I mean, both L and Light
They're both
need to gloat over
egomaniacs.
the other. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
both egomaniacs, and it's like it's very like Riddler syndrome, right? The reason Riddler always loses to Batman is because
He
he just
lets him.
can't help but like taunt, like he can't help but like reveal more information than he should to try and like get one up on Batman. He wants to gloat, and his gloating always undoes him, right? So it's kind
Yeah.
of like it'll be interesting to see how you see what you think of how it plays out between Light and L. I mean, you saw some of it episode 3, right? Like
Yeah.
Light was revealing more information than they needed to. Now, there's always strategy behind it too. It's not just
Yeah.
gloating, but like it's strategy fueled by gloating. Like it's like they kind of
Yep.
Yeah.
fuel each other.
Yeah, like
Like
that's
because
why I
it's not
loved.
necessarily yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just saying it's a gamble, not
Yeah.
necessarily a pure like
But yeah.
bonus.
Cuz
Uh,
in oh, sorry.
I I
I don't
also
know.
think that Light at this point had every reason to be at the peak of confidence. Like, look, there is only one thing that at this point that can like actually link him to the Death Note case. It's the book. Uh, he has like made all these like precautions for the book, and then you have like him having like right before been looking at the people like stroking his ego.
Mhm.
The fact he's been doing this as long as he has, which probably is at least a few weeks.
Yeah.
and just
Um,
no consequences. And then you have L using that and calling it evil just kind of pushes that button.
yeah, because he
Oh
knows
yeah.
about Light's like, or I guess Kira's complex. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, but no, what I was gonna say is that's why I love episode 3 when Light's reveal or Light basically makes it to where L figures out that he has like confidential police information. And I remember like halfway through the episode, Ryuk goes up to Light and he's like, "Why the fuck would you do that? Like, are you trying not to
Hmm.
get caught?" And Light's
Hmm.
like, "Oh, you silly goose! Like, I want him to know more information about me so that A, he no longer trusts the police, and B, he has to come down here and investigate himself." So
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's definitely a calculated gamble.
yeah,
Like that's the thing. They both gamble all the time. They both are risk takers. Kind of need to be to win a battle of wits like this. But at the same time, right? It's kind of I think their egos propel them to sometimes take unnecessary risks, right? Like because yes, it's this could work out in his favor, but this also could like be his undoing. You know what I mean? And you're
true,
already you
yeah,
see some of the consequences and both. I mean, we'll dive into this more next stream, but you see the consequences for both the pros and cons. Like you see the police start to distrust L, and L start to secretly investigate the police. So Light was right about that. However, the backfiring is now he has the FBI trailing him. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's like you saw the pros of his decision and the cons pay out somewhat at the end of that episode, and you'll
right,
see more of where that goes in both directions. But like it was a risk, and it has both paid off and bit him in the ass, and that's what I really liked about the Penguin show is that it did that kind of decision making very well. That like every decision the Penguin made gave him some like wins and losses, and then he has to readjust each time to the new scenario. So I
right.
think the Penguin and Light kind of are similar characters in that sense, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was the first two episodes. I guess we were supposed to cover three, but like
The
I'm out
first
of
one
time.
was
I don't have time.
literally the first episode took 2 hours.
Yeah, I had a feeling that would happen.
Next time we could just catch up on one. Like we could do three, four, five.
Yeah,
Um,
that could work
so
too. Um, I think we could definitely do this in like 4 episode chunks from now
okay,
on
three, four,
because
five,
like
six.
yeah, that'd probably work.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
I'd be
because
down
like
with that.
like I said, the biggest thing I was worried about was episode one because it's just like I knew that was going to take forever to get through just because of how dense it was.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think, Rangy? What would like for the next time we do this? Do you think like three, four, or five? Like what are you thinking? How many episodes?
I think we have to I think we have to like rewatch them and decide at the time. That's
Yeah, I
one
think
of
that's
the
probably a
things.
smart decision. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. We'll have a couple of weeks at least.
yeah, yeah, because we do this pretty much bi-weekly. But yeah, so Lulu, what were your thoughts on the first three, but more so 2 episodes?
Um, really good. Like way better than I was expecting. Cause like I'd always like been interested in Death Note, and then like when we were like reviewing it, I was like, okay, I guess we're doing it. And I was expecting it to be like kind of like Zom 100, where I was like, oh,
Mhm,
this is cool, but like meh. But like
mhm.
I'm like way more invested in this like than I thought I'd be. So
That's
Yeah.
cool. I had a feeling it's like Zom 100 is neat, but like it's all right. Like I wouldn't say it's
it's
like
not as
This has a
compelling.
lot more depth.
It's
This
not as
has a
yeah,
lot more
compelling.
depth. That's
but
a lot
even
of it.
for less in-depth things, right? It's like it's not as captivating as some other stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
I would say like Megamind is not super deep, but it's like a great uh captivating movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like
it
that's
doesn't demand your attention as much. Like you can probably put Zom 100 on and have something
Mhm,
going in the background. Death Note I
Yeah.
think is
mhm.
one of those things that
Oh yeah.
You
especially if you're
have to
doing
be
your first
watching.
viewing, Yeah,
Hmm.
especially your first few. Like, I could probably put Death Note on in the background comfortably
Yeah.
because I've watched it so many times already.
Yeah,
But
because I'm
I
100, other than the first episode, because you'd be very confused if you didn't watch the first episode. But like, other than the first episode, you can kind of just like half pay attention and kind of gather what's happening. Obviously, you'll miss
Yeah.
out on some of the deeper themes, like any story that you need to kind of pay attention to really get the themes. But like, you're right, it's a much less dense, much less complicated show that you could pretty easily secondhand view if you wanted to.
Yeah. I agree.
But any other final notes between you two?
Um, Ryuk is very cute. I want to pat him on the head and I want to give him a hug. That as well.
I want to give him an apple.
Yeah, I want to feed him an apple. Yeah.
yes, yes,
Hey
give him an
Hey
apple.
Rangi, hey Rangi, did you know Shinigami gods like apples?
No, I didn't. Uh,
Um, all right. Rangi, do you want to give you an
you see,
overview?
that's gonna have to be the name for the next episode. By the way,
What?
yeah, you'll see.
Wait, what's the
Yeah.
name?
Iron
What?
Nose.
Okay.
No, you'll see. You'll see. Um, yeah. Rangi, you have anything else to say?
No, I think we've kind of wrapped things up pretty
Yeah.
efficiently. We're kind of comfortably at, I think, about right. Yeah, we're just past the 3 hour mark, which I think is a comfortable place to end it.
Yeah. Just like pretty much gonna say like I think Death Note's got a great hook. It's yes, it does peter off a little bit towards the back end, but I don't even then I don't think it's not detrimental, I think, to the story that Death Note tells and overall. Like some stories will like really screw up the story or characters. I don't think that's the case with Death Note. I think it's a bit disappointing in the back half, but it's not
Right.
like one of those things of like, all right, like Game of Thrones, right? Is an example of like the back half makes it not even worth watching the
Uh,
full show, in my opinion. I don't think
yeah,
Death Note is that.
I think it's it peters out rather than throwing everything into the shredder.
Yeah.
Yes, and I don't mind watching a show that starts off really strong and peters out because writing endings are hard. It's like
Yeah.
it's a challenge for even the most talented authors. And I do like the very last episode, even like the seven or so before that, I don't particularly like. But like I said, Death Note's definitely worth a watch. I would recommend it to anyone who's not seen it, especially if they're into anime, but even if they're not in the anime, like one of it's one I showed my parents, but like uh we stopped watching around a certain episode, which Rangi can probably guess.
No, I
uh
understand that, and
yeah,
I think one of our chatters implied the same episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
I have no
yeah.
idea
A
what you guys are talking about, but I know it's the same thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's you'll
I
definitely
think I have
know
a
what that is.
guess, but I don't want to spoil it for myself.
Yeah, because I don't want to like have to like pretend to
All
like,
right.
oh,
I
what are you
won't say
talking
it. I
about?
won't say it.
Not
I won't say it.
not a very good actor, Lulu. So,
That's fair.
all right. So, Lulu, this is your channel. What do you wanna close it on? Because we're pretty much done.
Which racial slur? I could pull up the
Oh my
list again.
God.
Oh yeah. Shout out illegal websites. Shout out coffee. Shout out water. Shout out everyone in chat. Shout out I don't know. I don't know. You can subscribe if you want. If you don't, you're kind of gay. But like, I guess I can't be too mad if you don't. I guess you guys can like self promote or whatever. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Also, this one made me laugh. I'll
Shout
put
out to
into our
Apples, says
private
Granola.
chat.
Yes. Shout out to Apples.
yes. Shout out to Apples Indeed Granola. But yeah, you can find me on Iron Mandro. I noticed, Lulu, for the first time ever, you got it right. You put
What?
in the channels with the links.
Oh yeah. I
You
had
did
to.
it.
Yes, he did.
I
Yes,
had to
we didn't have
redo
to
it. I had to redo it.
start right
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
you.
for the
No,
first
no.
time.
For some reason, YouTube does that. Where if it's not like the last thing you do, it just fucks up the links completely.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah,
True.
this was a pretty good season 2 premiere. We're in season 2 of Undead and Unfiltered.
Yes,
Back and better than
sir.
ever, baby.
Yeah, and hopefully this is going to be the season where we got more funding, we have more episodes, we have better production.
Yeah, I mean, look at this beautiful like setup Lulu made for this series. Like I think this is his best work yet.
Yeah,
It
no,
was
I
Thank
actually
you.
did like that.
I think like it was The Nightmare Before Christmas was the easy winner before this, but I think this might have gave that one a run for its money. It might have edged it out.
edged it out.
Yeah, I just can't wait for the next like section of episodes so that we get to the real introduction of our autistic Avenger L.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna change the
Yeah.
title. Episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Did we actually
then-
find a good title for this?
No, but that's okay.
Oh well.
He can change it whenever he wants.
Yeah.
Bro.
And then Rangi's got a pretty cool channel himself if he wants to.
I guess I'll plug myself. Yeah, so I'm Rangi Nui. I do streams kind of like this about like anime mostly. I also do gaming streams on the same channel. Right now I'm playing through Red Dead Redemption.
Which is the
Hell
best
yeah.
video game of all time, and Rangi has great taste for picking that.
Yeah, I thought it would be really good to stream, and I'd never like finished it, so.
I need to play
Yeah,
it.
fun fact, Lulu, Red Dead Redemption 1 is my favorite game of all time.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah, but yeah, outside of that, I generally I try to stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays when it comes to the gaming streams. The anime streams are less regular because I usually book guests. I'm working on some other stuff in the background, but that's long term stuff. But yeah,
Mhm.
You should check out the Red Line one specifically because I'm in it.
yeah, you could check out that and then my other ones and understand why that one's lower quality.
All right, and then Lulu, Mr. Dexter himself, you want to plug your own channel, I guess.
Oh, I did. I did basically. Well, if you're if you're watching the live stream, you're already on my channel, so like.
Yep,
that's true. That's true.
I don't think I need to say anything.
But yeah, of the three of us, if you like live content, I'm your guy. If you like occasional short form kind of film analysis, I guess. What is that? What you do, Iron?
My channel's pretty random, but yes, I like to say
let's say
Let's go with
cinema
that.
think pieces.
I mean,
Let's
my latest video was a shit post, so like I can't even like point to my latest video ads to like what my channel like represents.
and Lulu, yeah, Lulu does stuff kind of relevant to this show actually, as far as genre goes. He does like Dexter stuff. He does like kind of
Walking
horror s.
He's
horror
the zombie
Jason.
guy.
Horror Jason.
Yeah, horror adjacent shows.
Zombies and serial killers. That's what he does.
Yep.
I think of the three of us, he is the most like mainstream channel.
Well,
I guess
he's the only monetized one, so that's an easy winner right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a good host, and we're happy to be his co-host. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'm happy
he
keeps us chained in his basement.
Yeah.
So
I only let you guys out when we do streams, and then you have to go back in.
Yeah, I've been.
Hey, at least you let us have internet there so we could do our own channels.
Yeah.
Oh, also, isn't it really funny that we finally have the most viewers as we're ending the stream?
That always happens.
9.
Hi,
we had like 4 throughout the
positive.
whole stream, and then we got 9. Well, it's 7 now, but it was 9 as we were ending it. I'm like, as soon as I said we were ending it, 2 people left. I'm like, they're like, oh, it is.
Yeah,
either way, yeah.
According to YouTube, our highest was 9 at a time, like 9 people.
Yeah, that's the thing people
also,
don't understand.
Our record is 14
streaming,
from the first Jeopardy. We had 14 at one point in the first Jeopardy live
did
viewers.
we?
That was pretty cool.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I swear we did. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 15. That's the record that we got to get to.
The goal. All right. Anyways, thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you very much. I don't know why you bothered to choose to watch